Hey, come get some. Come get the Gaming Outsider podcast. It's on now. Oh, but you're already listening. Cool.
What's happening, Gaming Outsiders? It's just Zach and I on this week's episode, and we're talking about what game properties we'd like to see get the TV series treatment. In news, there's been a lot of controversy over Stellar Blade this week, and speaking of, you'll hear Zach's impressions of that game, as well as mine on Tales of Kenzera Zao, and another twin-stick shooter called Zombies, Aliens, and Guns. Marc also stops by to talk to us about Lunar Lander Beyond. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. We've also got a community at facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even a Discord server. If you'd like to join, you can find the link in our show notes of this very episode. Today is Sunday, April 28th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is my good friend, Mr. Zach Parkerson. What's up, my buddy?
Everything sounds better when you intro it, Scott. It's just everything feels right in the world with you as the host.
Aw, that's very sweet of you to say. Although I thought you did great last week, man. You did an awesome job.
I wasn't fishing for a compliment, okay? Just to make
No,
that
I know,
clear.
but like you guys were, it was totally unintentional. I did not pick that topic for that week because I knew it was going to be gone. I was actually looking forward to that conversation.
You heard me call you a coward.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. For those that, if this is your first episode, number one, we're very glad you're here. But last week, Zach, CB, and Alyssa, our other co-hosts, talked about pirating games and the morality of that. And yeah, it was hinted that I was not there because I did not want to be involved in a controversial topic, and I really did want to be involved in that topic.
I'm saying, what a coincidence. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was. Man, I'm just going to give my 2 cents on that whole topic very succinctly, because I am very anti-pirating. I just don't like it. But you guys make some good points in terms of, if the developer's not making money on it anymore, then who's being hurt?
Right.
Except for the people that are selling the games for crazy amounts of money. But I feel like those are collectors, And I'm talking about like retro stuff. But I don't know. I'm very of the mind. It sounded like you guys were very much like, if it's anything new or modern, absolutely not. If you can play it on current consoles, it is absolutely bad. But anything else in the past just seemed like, it's the Wild West. Do what you want.
Well, again, if it's old, like say Chrono Trigger, right? It's an old game, but you can buy it on Steam. So I would be like, no, you should see it, because they're giving you an option to pay for it legally.
Right. Yeah.
That's all.
It's just
so if these companies would just preserve their own legacy, it would be nowhere. They wouldn't have to worry about us pirating.
And I don't understand how that is not a viable business solution at this point.
Definitely, yeah.
Because, like, if you think about it, how can you do it legally? Like, if you own a copy of the game, it's the only way you can do it. And even then, I don't know how to upload a game to my hard drive from my cartridge. You know what I mean? I don't even know where to begin to do that. I'm pretty sure someone out there listening is going to do it. It's really easy. You just need to buy this thing and, whatever.
Yeah.
But why is this not a viable business solution where someone has all this stuff on a server somewhere and then makes a business model where you can pay to have those on your collection a la carte, or you can do a subscription service? I feel like if it is that big of a deal, people are going to pay for it. You know what I mean?
Hey, man. You're preaching to the choir.
So anyway, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that, because you guys had a really good conversation on that last week. But anyway, I was gone last week because I was in Denver, and I had to tell you a really quick story. I know we got yelled at for talking about stuff not video game related, but I had to tell you something kind of funny that happened when I was out there.
Yeah, that's okay. It's our show, just so you know.
I know. But
we can talk about Denver.
We flew into Denver, and my wife surprised me because I used to own a Wrangler. I used to own a Jeep Wrangler, and I love. Were you one
of those Jeep guys who like wave to each other on the highway when you see?
Absolutely.
Jeep? Yeah. Okay.
Nowadays, it's like the duck thing is a thing with Jeep people. I was never in part of that.
Like
but
a rubber ducky, or
yeah, like like Jeep people will take a rubber ducky and like just put it on somebody's handle of their door. So like if you were a Jeep owner, you could just like go to Walmart or whatever and come back and there's a rubber ducky sitting on your Jeep, and you just like, you're supposed to like pass it on, kind of thing, like pay it forward.
Kind of adorable.
Yeah, but anyway, I had to get rid of my Jeep years ago, She made me. And so we were in Denver, and we were renting a car, and she didn't tell me. It was supposed to be a surprise that she rented a Wrangler so that I could drive a Wrangler when we were out in Denver. I'm like, oh, awesome! This is cool. It was like an hour and 15-minute wait at the car rental place, and by the time we got up there, they're like, oh, we're out of Wranglers.
Oh my god.
So okay, so they gave us a couple options, and let me just give me the Jeep. The Jeep was one of the ones that they rented, just whatever. Like, well, we're gonna upgrade you. So, okay, well, just give me the Jeep. I'm going to go home and go to the hotel and go to sleep. Did not realize I committed to a thing called a Jeep Wagoneer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a Jeep Wagoneer, but it is the largest vehicle I have ever driven that was not a moving truck.
I was just like imagining you in a monster truck.
It is a when we picked up my brother-in-law, he said this is a monstrosity.
Okay.
This thing is so big, but it's a luxury vehicle. So, like, there were massagers in the seats, dude. Like, I could press these buttons and, like, get a massage while I'm driving down the street.
Wow. They must have felt really bad about your Wrangler. They saw your sadness on your face.
It had a refrigerator in the console that you could, like, put cold drinks on, and even when the car was off, it would still keep your drinks cold.
That's absurd.
Blew my mind. And this is, like, a little thing, but whenever you, like, unlock the car, there's, like, a running board. You know how trucks have, like, a running board for you to stand on to get into the truck?
Yeah.
So this one, like, when you're not driving it, is up. It just kind of, like, folds up vertically.
It's like a plane's landing gear?
Kind of, but it's running, running board.
This vehicle is so big it has landing gear.
Yeah. So when you unlock the car, the the running board just kind of goes, and like folds down so that you have a thing to stand on. And then when you get in the car, it folds back up.
Oh, my God.
But then, like,
Transformer,
dude, it's crazy. And then, like, the handle where you actually open the door has a light built into it that shines down on the ground with the Wagoneer logo in like it's probably about 2 or 3 feet wide. Like, it's this crystal clear white with, like, silhouette, the word Wagoneer, and it's so that you can see if it's dark.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a dark place, you can actually see, so you don't, like, trip on this. I don't know, dude. I told my brother about it, and he told me that it's like $160,000 vehicle.
Oh my God.
Which is insane to me. I, number one, could not imagine spending that much money on a vehicle. But anyway, I had to tell somebody that story because I thought it was hilarious. But okay, moving on. I got a couple quick housekeeping things to make sure you guys are aware of. You've heard us talk about it for a couple weeks, but R2V2 is set. So please, if you haven't already, mark your calendars for October 12th and 13th. But if you wanted something to whet your appetite until October, we are actually doing an Extra Life event. I don't think I've even told Zach about this because I know he wasn't going to be in town to do this, unless he wants to fly out.
Nope, I'm probably good.
Well, we're going to do an Extra Life event on Saturday, July 27th. We one of our sponsors from R2V2 last year, Tilted 10, has graciously offered us their facility. They said we can use the facility. Even though they're not open 24 hours, they're going to let us basically crash inside there for 24 hours and live stream and bring listeners and all this good stuff. So mark your calendars, July 27th. It's going to be a Saturday this summer. We're going to be at this place called Tilted 10, which if you're not familiar, Zach, you probably don't even know what it is, do you? Or
nope.
Have we told you about it? It's a 2-story arcade where, like, the entire first floor is nothing but, you know, pinball machines, classic arcade cabinets, modern arcade cabinets, VR, bowling, mini golf. They used to have bumper cars, but they got rid of that. And then a bar and a restaurant and all that. And then the second story is nothing but, like, ticket games. So it's pretty big.
This sounds somewhat familiar, but
okay,
I haven't been there.
But they've also got, like, these birthday party rooms, where kids can have birthday parties, and they're letting us use those. And we're just going to set up couches and TVs for anyone that wants to come and just play video games for a 24-hour marathon. We're going to have one dedicated camera that is going to be live streaming, whatever is being played through Twitch. So people will be able to watch us for an entire 24-hour stream and playing who knows what. And the purpose of it is to raise money for hospitals. We don't have a children's hospital in Rockford, so we're going to be raising money for a children's hospital in Waukesha, Wisconsin, like we did last time. But I'm looking forward to it. It's an excuse to kind of sit there and play games all day long, and everybody else is welcome to come. It's going to be a deal where, like, if you want to come and have a spot, you basically pay like $50 or whatever as a donation, and we just try to raise as much money as we can, for the kids.
Is it like midnight to midnight, or do you not know?
I think we're going to start like at I want to say it was like 5 or 6 in the morning. I have to double check with Rose. She's kind of that's Chris's wife. She's the one that's kind of coordinating this with the contact at Tilted 10. But yeah, it'll be like either 5 or 6 in the morning to 5 or 6 in the morning the following day.
Well, hit me up that evening. You know, I could play a game with you guys from afar if you wanted.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Like we could get you picture in picture and like
maybe,
chat with us while we do it. That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
I don't know. Is Helldivers, is that popular still?
I don't have it, so
fair
and
enough.
I don't know what the internet's going to be like there. Honestly, the guy talked to us about like, well, we need to know what internet you need if you're going to stream and everything. But it's going to be fun. We've done this with the Extra Life guys before, where we've just done it at a house. He would set up couches and give everybody a dedicated monitor. And
who are the Extra Life guys?
The podcast. I'm sorry, I said Extra Life. I meant
EXP Cast.
EXP Cast. Thank you. The EXP Cast guys for Extra Life, and yeah, you just kind of sit and have an excuse to be dedicated to do nothing but play video games for a day straight, and it's kind of rad. So, and we're doing it for the kids. So stay tuned for more details. But again, mark your calendar, July 27th. If you'd like to be a part of it, if you are local, somewhat close to the Rockford community, we'd love to have you. We're going to have free reign of the entire place all night, even after it's closed. We're going to be able to like play all the arcade machines and VR and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's going to be food and drinks there that will have, available for purchase. So that's part of it. But it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I will be exhausted and dead the next day, but hey, I'll be on summer break by then. So, okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the games we've been catching up on. Zach, if it's okay with you, I'm going to start this time.
Sure. You've been gone after all.
I have been. So I actually, right before I hopped on this episode, no, that's not true. Right before I hopped on the hour-long off-air conversation you and I had before we started recording this episode.
We just missed each other, okay?
I know, dude. It's been too long.
Yeah.
I played some Balatro. I don't remember how many I said last time, but I'm up to 10 wins now. And I think you mentioned the same as me that we've both have like completed all of the main decks without any of the modifiers or the
all the like the standard colored decks I've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of those at the end were like much easier. Like the checkered deck, like was like so much easier. I just did nothing but flushes all the time.
Yeah, I like. I'm trying to go through all the decks first, and then I'll do the difficulties after.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing too.
Okay.
I tried one of the difficulties, and basically the difficulty is that it does not give you any cash on a small blind. So the small blind just gives you no benefit whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I guess it would give you the benefit of seeing the shop one more time. But otherwise, you'd want to skip it, right, to get the tag?
That's pretty much what I do, is I just skip it, unless it's a really dumb tag, like, I don't know, give me an extra voucher. Like, I'm going to be able to afford a voucher. You know what I mean? So I just kind of skip every small blind. And it's kind of been nice, because I'm like, $15 for beating the boss that I'm going to beat anyway? Sure, why not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Fun stuff like that, so... have you done any of the challenges or tried any of the challenges?
No, or
maybe you haven't unlocked them. But there are these challenges where they give you crazy modifiers that are stupid hard. That, like I don't understand how I'm going to ever do that. I think I've come to the realization that I'm probably never going to 100% this game.
I can't imagine, man.
Dude, because it's crazy because I have like 90% of the collectibles done. In terms of the vouchers, in terms of the jokers, in terms of the celestial cards and the arcana cards and all that kind of, or the tarot cards. But all the challenges and stuff there's something called stickers for jokers. So like to get a sticker on a joker, you have to complete a run with that joker. So that's how you get a sticker on that joker.
Okay.
So the idea of completing enough rounds using every joker at least once is insane. Like,
are you a professional Balatro player or not, Scat?
Well, there's gotta be a hump, right? Because if you've ever looked at the achievements for the trophies on this game, there's like an achievement to get like one hand with 100 million chips. So like, there's gotta be something where it's just gonna be go time. You know what I mean? I keep waiting for that to happen. I don't know what it is, but anyway. I'm so glad that you like this game because I felt like I was overselling it, and then to hear you just be like, "Dude, this game is great."
Yeah, it's awesome. It is a hard pitch to understand why it's great. Like hearing it, you do just kind of have to play it. which is unfortunate. But I mean, it seems to be selling just fine. So I guess word's getting around. But yeah, dude, this game is it's so addicting that I'm trying to remind myself like, no, I can't just play this all night.
Right. I'm like, I gotta go play something else to talk about on the show, or like I downloaded Fallout 4. Like I'm never gonna play through that, but I want to at least like see what the updates look like and stuff. But it's really good. And Kevin actually posted an article on our Facebook group. I know you don't have access to it. I'll try to link it to you later, where it's like they interviewed the guy that developed it. Because again, it's just like one developer,
right?
And it's a typical story of like, oh, we didn't know it was going to be this big kind of situation, but it's really interesting. It's a really interesting read, regarding his perspective of making this game and how it wasn't done when he released it. He's constantly updating it. Not in a like this game doesn't work or needs patching. It's just like that there's more that he can do to it. He sold 1 million copies of this game.
Isn't that crazy? I think about like the solo developers are like, well, his whole life's just changed.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it just makes every other indie developer go, that's like why you become an indie developer, right? You want to get that hot game that it's going to work. He's, 15, if that game costs $15, he just grossed $15 million.
Yeah. Well, after Steam gets his cut, I mean, he's probably like, either way, he's probably got $10 million in the bank or whatever.
He's probably okay to retire.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like his whole life just changed.
Yeah.
He put out one game that people in his life are probably like, oh yeah, it sounds great, buddy. Working on your poker game sounds cool.
Yeah.
And now it's, changed his life forever.
I think the hardest thing to convince people about Balatro, however we're saying it, Balatro.
I needed to hear an interview with this guy so he can tell me how to pronounce it.
Is it Balatro?
No, I said I need to hear an interview with the creator so I can figure out how to pronounce this freaking game.
Yeah, I know. I feel like every podcast I listen to pronounces it differently. But the difficult thing to get people to wrap their head around is like you are not playing against anybody. Like, wait, I'm playing poker, but I'm not. There's nobody at the table. Like that's the hardest thing. It's like no, you're playing against the house basically, and
you're really not playing poker.
No, you're making poker hands, but you're not playing poker.
It's just that's just the theming around the incredible game at the center.
Right. Anyway, the other thing that I've been playing is an older game that I forgot how good it is. I was looking for something to play while I was out of town. I had my Steam Deck with me, but if I get stuck, I get frustrated in Sands of Time. So I get mad at it, and I just like put it away. I need something else to play. So
it's hard to imagine getting stuck in that game, but I've also played it hundreds of times.
Right. I remembered that I had Apple Arcade and that Slay the Spire is on that platform, which I played on Xbox back when it was on Game Pass. I don't even know if it's still on Game Pass, but I forgot how good that game is, dude. That game is the epitome, not the epitome, but it's very strong in that I just died, let me just start another run right quick mentality. It's really good. If you're not familiar with Slay the Spire, it is it's weird because I feel like Slay the Spire is the game everybody compares to when it talks about like that branching path roguelike. You know what I mean? Like everyone says, oh, it's like Slay the Spire. So I think, but anyway, it's like a card battler against an AI where, you've got cards that do attacks and, it's a card collectathon. But it just works so well. Easy to pick up. There's a good progression system in it. Have you played it?
Briefly, I was inspired because of Balatro and how good it was too. I was like, oh, let me play Slay the Spire, this other card roguelike. And then I played it, probably 40 minutes or whatever. I was like, that sucks compared to Balatro. Yeah. But it was probably just, that's not fair to Slay the Spire. I got to play it when I'm not knee deep in another roguelike, that.
Right.
Yeah. So I can give it
I think I was inspired to go back to it because they announced 2. And I was like, oh, that's really, I remember that game. I want to go back and try it again. So I did. I enjoy it. I like that. Like I'm up to 3 different characters now that I can play. And each of them has their own level of progression, which unlocks more cards that you have at your disposal. So no matter what, you're pushing towards something. So it's like each run starts you brand fresh. Nothing carries over in terms of things that make you stronger or anything like that, but you just have more options, which is an interesting way to do it. I mean, truth be told, I prefer the permanent upgrade thing where like I'm definitely going to have a better run this time.
Yeah.
But but this is an interesting way to do it too. So yeah, I'm really digging it. What about you?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about Trails from Zero, the fourth game in the Trails series, because I was playing last night and I was getting to kind of this climax area, and then is like a quick little appearance from a character from a previous game.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the way the story works, like I've seen this character kind of hinted at, like more about her like real past or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But here in this game, because each game takes place in a different country, we're actually in her hometown. So she's there, and then you're seeing things of story things that were planted in like the first couple games getting paid off here,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that it will still continue to go because she's in later games. And it was kind of remarkable long form storytelling that you just don't see in video games, because time passes between each game. So it's been like a year and a half since we've known her, and she's grown up some, and you're learning about her. But it was just, there's just nothing else like this I could think of.
Well, plus, I feel like game developers shy away from that a lot because they want more people to play the second one that may not have played the first one.
Right. And that
you know what I mean?
Absolutely not the case here. You really do need to, like, this is the start of an arc, so you're probably safe. But I think about that because in a lot of ways it is. But with this one character, you're like, man, you would not feel the emotional weight if you didn't already know her from the 3 games of buildup. But you're right. It is interesting. The developers are usually afraid of that because they want even with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they're like, oh yeah, new players can jump right in, even though that's a straight up lie. But that is what they always want. You know?
I couldn't imagine jumping into Rebirth without playing. Or I guess I could if you had played the original, maybe. But you would still miss kind of the hook. Yeah.
But it's just, that's just the producers trying to market. But I'm saying Trails does not have that. It's pretty much you kind of need to play them all. But you get paid off dividends with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I can see now why people who have played this series fall so in love with it, because there is such consideration, and there's like I've referenced before, there's a peace treaty that gets signed in the first arc, but I'm seeing the ramifications of that here in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know, the world is just so built out and believable. The politics feel so real. Like I feel like I'm Switzerland in World War II right now, where I'm at, just trying to stay neutral between all these warring factions, but everybody wants a piece of you. It's just, there's just a lot of good stuff, and the slow paced character works out well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really love this cast here in Trails from Zero because they're all cops. So they kind of start off as coworkers, but you can see now that like they're like spending their days off together, like they're actual friends now. But it didn't happen very quickly, if that makes sense. Like it just feels like they fell into being friends because they're such good coworkers, as it were.
Gotcha.
I don't know. It's just, I was just kind of blown away with the way this particular story arc was being handled, because I can already see her story is being tied into something you're investigating as these detectives,
Mm-hmm.
but it all feels so like it's being naturally woven together. Nothing about it feels forced at all.
That's refreshing.
Yes. It's just, it feels all planned out in a pretty exciting way.
But I like these games. I don't really know the gameplay of them. I've heard you.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's such a hard sell because it really is like 80% reading.
Yeah.
And I think if I wasn't playing these on Vita and Switch, I'm not sure I could get through them either, because it's one thing to be playing like a visual novel where you're making decisions, but when it's just like straight up reading for most of the gameplay, it's kind of hard to do for like 3 hours after work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially since I barely read anymore. Like I prefer to consume my books via audiobook nowadays.
Yeah, I think later games have voice acting, but the first half of the series does not.
No, I'm not even worried about the voice acting, because I'm not gonna like just look away from my TV and listen to them read it to me while I go do something else.
Yeah, okay,
You know what I
I
mean?
get what you mean. Yeah, but the shame of it is like the combat is actually excellent. Some of the best turn-based combat in any JRPG I've played, but it's used so infrequently compared to reading. But I don't know, but you fall into the rhythms of it. I'm just curious because the next arc is really only on PlayStation 4, and like the first 2 games are only on PS4, and the back 2 are on Switch again. But my point is, I'm worried if I'll hit a wall when I'm trying to read at home like that. But we'll see. How it goes.
Interesting. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. What do you say?
Sure.
Very quickly, before we get into the week's news, I want to talk to you guys once again about eWin Racing and their gaming products. And I got a quick story to tell you. We actually had a party at my house last night. We had a bunch of people over to play poker. So we set up poker tables in my garage, and I was setting up those folding chairs all around the table, as you do at a poker party. But I decided to bring my eWin Racing gaming chair up there to sit at one end of the table for whoever was dealing cards. To
like
be able
a
to
king
use
at
that.
the castle.
Yeah, dude. So whoever was dealing cards got to sit in this fancy little chair while everybody else was in their pathetic folding chairs. And, some people got a chance to sit in it, and they were very, very impressed. One of the things that I've talked about with these chairs in the past is that they are designed to hold bigger people. And we have some friends in our circle that, they're a little bit bigger than me. And it's still very, very comfortable. Since I'm 6'2", I have the bigger size anyway. And they are built with up to 500-pound capacity. So it is solid. It is comfortable. These things are worth it. Highly recommend it. If you'd like to check them out, you can do so at ewinracing.com. And we even have a promo code for you. You can get 20% off one of these chairs by using the promo code TGO. That stands for The Gaming Outsider, but you only need the 3 letters, TGO. Once again, ewinracing.com. All right, moving on. Got a few more trailers this week. Tales of the Shire coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC, and sometime in 2024. People just cranking out that Lord of the Rings license as much as they can, right?
Middle-earth and friends.
Yeah, exactly. Morbid, The Lords of Ire on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC on May 17th. I got 2 new games for the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass. Both of them are N64 games. One is called Extreme G, which I remember, and the other is called Iggy's Wreckin' Balls. I don't remember that one at all. I watched the trailer, and I did the look in your face right now, Zach, is hilarious. A game called Island of Winds coming to PC and consoles late in 2025. That's a really early announcement. Holy cow. But the one that I was a little bummed CB wasn't going to be here, but there's a VR title coming to PSVR 2, Steam VR, and MetaQuest 3 this holiday season called Alien Rogue Incursion. I have to imagine that he is going to be all over this when this releases. So those are the new trailers. In terms of regular news, we got some possible details about the next Switch out there in the wild. BlizzCon 2024 is canceled. Stellar Blade has even more controversy surrounding it this week. And Gary's Mod on Steam has been forced to take down some content. Some juicy stuff going on here, Zach. What do you want to talk about?
Well, first, I got to just illustrate. Tales of the Shire seems like the easiest slam dunk in the world, right?
Why is that?
Because of how popular Cozy Life games are right now. Yeah. Combined with like chilling out in Hobbiton.
Mm-hmm.
It seems ripe for a hit.
I would assume so. It's just we'll see if that license is worth it, and because I'm sure they had to pay for that. Is it open?
Is the Lord of the Rings? I mean, I know Lord of the Rings is beloved, but it's like Rings of Power. Like do those things do anything for people?
I don't know. I didn't watch is that an Amazon show?
Yeah.
I didn't watch that. I don't know like anything outside of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the movies. I've never read the books. I'm not deep into the lore of any of that.
Yeah, I just wonder. I wonder if it is a property that will survive what is about to happen to it. Because it's about to get exploited to hell.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, that's a thing. As for news this week, I mean, I thought the Stellar Blade stuff was pretty whack.
Yeah, and I put it here in the news on purpose, Zach, because I know you're going to be reviewing the game here shortly.
Yeah. And
I didn't want to mire the review of a game that I'm assuming you're digging with this stupid stuff, because this stuff makes me angry. But go ahead, tell everybody what's going on.
Yeah, Stellar Blade, because this game is a lightning rod for controversy, apparently, due to sexualization of the main character, which, fair enough. She's definitely sexualized. But review copies went out to journalists in the past week or so, and some saw this graffiti on a wall that said the word hard. And having played the game, this graffiti is all over the game. Mm-hmm. Like it's just a repeating asset. But
the same word?
Yeah, it's just hard written the same way in the same graffiti.
Okay.
So it's just like a background detail to spice up the walls so they don't look as barren. But one of them happened to be next to a shop called it's called R Shop because it's a rumor shop, and also this lady Roxanne runs it, so it's the R Shop.
Right.
So right next to each other was the hard R, which is a term for the racial slur for the N word. If you say it with the hard R versus saying it with the A. But
that's what that means in terms of okay.
Yeah,
but just saying those two things together is the same as saying?
I don't think so. But not to.
So this is a stretch, is what you're saying?
I think so,
or a reach.
But this is but to your point, right? Or it's these journalists. It's some pearl clutching, I would say. I think that was a good way to put it. Just the developer and Sony said it was completely unintentional. But you've got these journalists out there who took screenshots, so they couldn't wait for the embargo to lift so they could talk about this, even though they had already been told it was going to get removed in a day one patch.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but they felt the need to try to create a story out of this, and I guess we're talking about it, so I guess it worked. But but the graffiti's been replaced with the word crime, so it just says crime R now. Korea has no association with the N word like we do in the West. Completely unintentional. But they needed to make a mountain out of a molehill. I assume most journalists probably just thought, like, oh, that's kind of a funny accident, moving on with their life. But let's say some of the usual suspects try to make a huge story out of this.
This whole thing just drives me crazy because I feel like, honestly, I can't decide because either way, it's putting attention on this game. Again, I haven't played it. I don't have any, I'm not like all about it. Like, you were very excited about it. I'm like indifferent. I'm not like super stoked about it. But I feel like, if anything, Hogwarts Legacy has proven us that controversy does nothing but help sell copies.
Right.
So if your goal is to bring this thing down, then shut up. like that's I feel like nobody would be talking about this game nearly as much if this controversy weren't surrounding it. I mean, granted, there's pockets of people that are very, very excited about this, but it just seems like all you're doing it's becoming a business strategy to use this kind of thing to get clicks instead of real journalism, which is a thing I went on a soapbox 2 weeks ago, right?
Right. I mean, that's where my attention goes to this, is because these screenshots were ready to go as soon as the embargo lifted, even though they knew it was going to get rid of, right? So it was like a total non-issue. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's actually playing the game would have the day. Most people, not everyone has internet, I suppose, but most people are playing this with the day one patch. So it's a nothing thing. But you had to take the screenshot so you could talk about it, so you could complain about it, so you could. You
really wanted to say nothing burger there.
I did want to say nothing burger. Yeah,
I could see you like I could see it going.
It's a fun expression.
I know.
Yeah, but it really is. I mean, I just don't. Everything that's happening to this game is guaranteeing it's a hit, and I don't. These journalists, I assume because they're struggling for relevance, are desperately trying to make stories out of something. But they
ran out of guides to write. So
right, the AI is writing the guides for them now.
Yeah,
they've run out of developers to try to cancel.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
The thing is I had literally had to have you explain to me how this is a racial slur, and I understand that's pure ignorance on my part. That's a me issue that I don't know that.
I mean, the first thing I thought of when I saw Hard R was like a borderline NC-17 film.
Right, that's what I thought. I thought it was like, oh, it's a rated R movie that is really close. You know what I mean? It's got so much sexualization and stuff in it, whatever that we had to give it like an A+ rating on.
Somebody's hanging dong in this movie.
Right. Yeah. That's seriously what I thought. And like I kept like Googling and nobody could give me an explanation because of course you can't say it.
Right. That is true.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's just, and they're a Korean developer.
Right.
You're telling me they've got like one American on their crew that's like, here's what I'm gonna do, guys. I'm gonna slide this in there. Nobody's gonna even know. Yeah, I mean, I would sooner believe that they've got someone in their marketing team that is like, look, here's what we're gonna do. No news is bad news. We're gonna make this thing happen.
Yeah.
And we're gonna this is gonna be a thing. We're gonna put it on the marketing material so that some journalist is going to pick up on it's going to be a thing. I would sooner believe that than this was done intentionally.
Yes, 100%.
By a long shot.
Yeah. It's just nonsense. It was such a they got nothing else to talk about. Slow news week, I guess. But to me, it was just like they were just ready to try to tear something down, and it did not seem to work out. Nobody really agreed with them at all.
That's all they're talking about on the internet is like the Stellar Blade controversy. Between that and like the over sexualization of the character, which doesn't bother me,
or the bunny outfit got more cleavage coverage.
Right, there's like a little piece of lace that covers where the cleavage would be seen.
I actually think it makes it look a little sexier, personally.
And people are freaking out about it, calling for censorship.
I've unlocked that costume in the game. Her entire ass is out, full cheek. There's nothing, and there are looter outfits in that one as well. So just look, if you need to play the game one-handed, there's plenty of other material to work with there.
I truly don't understand that being the selling point for playing the game. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I like TNA as well, but it's not like why I play a video game. I'm playing a video game for like story, for gameplay mechanics, for for progression and all this kind of stuff. I'm not like that. That's not why. And there are people that are like genuinely mad. Like, I wanted to see this fake character and her body parts.
And again, there are other outfits with way more body part showing.
Sure.
It's just this one. Yeah, I love the people that are like, oh man, I thought this game was going to be a statement against censorship, and here it is getting censored.
How is it a statement against censorship? Like, I don't know.
Do I think it is unfair that video games made by Western developers, like The Last of Us Part 2, can have a full-on sex scene with nudity, and it's no big deal? But a game from the East, like Devil May Cry, has to put a lens flare over their butt? Yeah, that is definitely unfair, and that's definitely some kind of quiet racism occurring there. I don't. I can't argue that. But not everything has to be a cause, man.
I know.
And Eve's rabbit costume is not a cause.
Well, the good news is that it's drawing attention to the game. There's no way that this game is not selling more copies because of the controversy. And so on one hand, it makes me angry, but at the same time, great job, guys. You did it. You made sure this game's a bestseller. Yep. I mean, it's not going to have the sales of a Hogwarts Legacy because it doesn't have the Harry Potter IP attached to it, but still.
But for the first console game from a mobile game developer, it's going to be, I'm sure they're going to be pretty happy about it.
Exactly. So, yeah. I want to get that. Dude, I'm glad you picked it because I want to get that story out of the way.
I'm way on board with your tinfoil hat theory now, though. There's like some guy, some marketing person be like, "Did you put that graffiti right here? I guarantee you're selling another 100,000 copies."
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I'm sure marketing people did watch Hogwarts Legacy and be like, "Oh, so this is a marketing tactic actually we could use."
Yep.
The more controversial you are, the more people feel like they have to buy it just to stick it to the people.
Yeah, what can we come up with that looks as much as an accident as possible but will still stir the pot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's I would not be surprised if that kind of conversation is happening at an executive table somewhere.
I'm not saying that is the truth, but I want to believe it is. Because that person deserves a bonus.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee they move some units.
Yeah, totally. Well, just to make you angry, Zach.
Switch? We're going to talk about Switch?
Yes, we are. Because it's a rumor story.
All right, love it.
I know you hate rumor stories, but I thought this was too interesting. So, we don't have any concrete details about Switch. So to be clear, nothing that we've got is actual news. This is just rumor.
But I heard this console that wasn't even announced got delayed, Scott.
Yeah. Do you not want me to talk about it?
No, I want you to talk about it. It's fine. I'm sorry.
We can skip it. I just thought this was interesting.
No, tell me about it. What's going on with the Switch 2?
So a Spanish outlet known as Vandal claims that they were able to get some details from some peripheral and accessory manufacturers that are working on whatever the Switch 2 is or whatever the Switch 2 is going to be called. And those people say that they were able to put their hands in an opaque box to feel the console without actually seeing anything. Which, number one, is that an actual? Is that how these things work?
Like, I could believe Nintendo would.
Remember that sounds like a very Nintendo, like the Treehouse thing. When they let you try the 3D, or they let the journalists try the 3DS, but it was attached to women.
Yes. So you can remember that.
Like instead of it being like chained to a wall, they attach it to like
chained to sexy ladies. So weird.
It's weird, but it worked.
Sure, of course.
You couldn't do it now, but
no.
But anyway, so they got to put their hands inside this box that you could not see into, so you couldn't look at the console, but you could feel it. Again, this is all. Are they telling the truth? We don't know.
It sounds like something Nintendo would do, man.
It does. Like I remember reading the Console Wars book when Tom Kalinske went up to like see the game. I think he was showing the Game Boy or something, or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong book. But when they had like the prototype for the original Game Boy or the Game Gear, or what, I don't remember. They had a thing where it was like attached to. It was in a case. You couldn't touch it. You could see it. This one they're letting you touch it but not see it. I don't know.
You see that in the Tetris movie.
Is that what I'm thinking of?
Maybe
that's probably what I'm thinking of.
That's a good movie.
I liked it,
yeah,
but I don't need to see it again.
Of course, yeah. That's the case with any biopic I've seen, really, or most of them.
Yeah. So anyway, if what they're saying is true, this is what they've reported, that it is bigger than the current Switch, which, okay, that's expected, but it is smaller than the Steam Deck. But the big thing is that they're claiming that the Joy-Cons are magnetic. So you know how they normally, right now, they slide into the side and they kind of click into there? They are now, like, you just snap on them with a magnet instead, which I don't know how much I could believe that, because the runner that you slide it into keeps it in place while you're holding it. Right. If I'm in the middle of playing a game and like I move wrong and this thing just snaps off, like not snaps off like it's broken, but like the magnet comes off, that's a problem.
Well, I would have to hope it's a pretty strong magnet, or maybe there's some kind of button where you can
release it.
Yeah, dull the magnetism so you can get it off easier or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, that makes sense. But they also said, this would mean that the Joy-Cons wouldn't work, like the current Joy-Cons would not work on the new Switch for obvious reasons. They're not going to have that technology. But the talk is that the Pro Controller will still be compatible with the new one. So, if you're a home player and you play with your Pro Controller, you don't have to buy a new Pro Controller. And they also said that Nintendo could release it very soon, but that they'd rather wait until they have a more attractive library to release alongside it with launch, which I don't get that. You sold it with one game, the original Switch at launch.
I get it only because there's no rush to do a Switch 2. The
That's
Switch
true.
is still selling gangbusters, and what is the rush? Why not take your time? Make it the launch you want.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Have a version of Tears of the Kingdom ready to go.
It'll sell.
Yeah, of course.
Like an HD version of HDer. I don't know. I know you don't like to talk about rumors because this is not, fair, but this one's fun to talk about, man.
Look, it's your show too, Scott. If you want to talk rumors, you can. For me, rumors are always just like, I don't know. I'm not a speculator. I'm a wait and seer.
No, I know, but when I know people are getting really good at giving specific details to make it sound believable. This is a lot of stuff that's like seems like it would be hard to make up.
The magnetism does make it feel somewhat viable to me, the rumor, just because Nintendo doesn't like to do the same thing twice. So they couldn't just put out a Switch 2 that we all probably want, that is just the Switch but more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So if they've got to have little ways to switch it up, and the magnet feels like a little way to switch it up.
Yeah.
And but
if they don't call this thing the Nintendo Snap, but like that's what it's got to be called, right?
That'd be good. I don't know. You're right because they're Nintendo, but I feel like a smarter company would be like, we just got to call it the Switch 2, man. The Switch is such a hit.
Or the Super Nintendo Switch.
Or the Super Switch. I know everybody wants it to be called that. Yeah. That is definitely the popular fan name, no doubt. I mean,
especially if they branded it like this, like the Super Nintendo color scheme.
Sure.
And the buttons.
Well, they don't do that at launch, right? You got to do that a couple years into it as an anniversary unit that everyone buys a second one for.
Probably.
But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the magnet thing sounds cool. I don't know how it's going to work on paper, but it does sound nice to have the convenience of like you could just pick it up from the dock by just slamming the Joy-Cons into it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing it docked and you want to go to handheld, it sounds nice to not have to worry about the little runners. Not that it's a huge inconvenience, obviously, but
no, but it is like when I go to if I'm playing it docked, I still play with the Joy-Cons, and then when I put them away, I'm always like trying, lining them up. I'm always worried I'm going to snap off one of those runners, or it's awkward to press that button to release it. It doesn't feel.
It does feel like to get it off of the dock. I agree with you. Sorry. If you're going from handheld to docked and you want to get the controllers off, it's a little tricky with those buttons.
The thing that worries me, especially though, like you were talking about needing a much stronger magnet, is maybe this is just me being a child of the 80s, but like you don't put magnets near electronics.
I was wondering about that as well, but I feel like that's probably, I'm sure they have solved that.
You think so? Okay.
I think so. I think we're just old.
I remember it being a kid sitting at the school computer, and my buddy had a real powerful magnet. I put it on the monitor, and the monitor just went like, whoa. And then if you just turn it to the back end and put it on there, it would go back to normal.
Yeah. Or do you remember when phone or rechargeable batteries, you didn't want to charge it for too long?
You could overcharge it.
Yeah, but like I feel like I still do that, even though those kinds of batteries have been phased out like 10 years ago.
Right. That, or like, you have to run the battery all the way down. Otherwise, if you recharge it at like 10%, you're losing that 10% gap or whatever. Like that, I think that worked with like those NiCad batteries for like radio control cars and stuff when I was a kid, because those things wouldn't last for hardly at all.
It was just like you said, you had to treat your battery like it was a freaking child, like take care of it, make it sure it was healthy. But anyway, that's not, none of that is important anymore, but I feel like I still have to do all of those things.
I would hope so, because if you're giving a Switch to a child, which, I understand this is marketed for adults too, all you got to do is take that thing off and then put it right on the screen and destroy it. Or I don't know, like the cartridges aren't affected by magnets, are they?
I don't know anymore. I'm sorry. I know in old crime movies they would do that to the security tapes or whatever,
or floppy disks.
Yeah,
it would erase them. I mean, if you watch the news, clearly magnets don't work underwater, right? So we got it.
I heard that. Yeah.
Sorry.
So you got to keep your Switch out of the tub.
Yeah. Oh man. But anyway, I thought that was worth talking about because, again, it's been delayed even though it hasn't been announced. Right.
I just want them to announce it so this stuff can knock it the hell off. But it'll just be another rumor mill after that. So what does it really matter?
Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, time frame wise, like you said, they don't need to. I just think the idea of the reason is because they're not happy with their library isn't like accurate. That's the one thing about this story that I'm like, come on, guys, you only need one game.
I've heard that in other rumors though. It's not the first time I've heard that.
No, okay.
But no, you're right. Nintendo only needs one game, but Nintendo also doesn't need to rush this thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So they can do whatever they want.
Anything else you want to mention from the list? You want to move on?
Not really. I mean, it's just other than that morbid game looks cool in the trailer, but there's a demo out, so I advise people to try the demo first.
Yeah,
because it may not be as good as the trailer looks.
Mm.
But it could just be the slice of the demo. I'm told Liza P is way better than the demo.
I still am shocked you haven't played that game.
I got to.
By the way, I keep seeing trailers for that crab game, the underwater. That game looks kind of rad. I'm not gonna lie,
dude. So the map in Elden Ring is called The Lands Between.
Okay.
And then the crab game, there's an area called The Sands Between.
Oh my god!
I gotta check this game out.
I mean, I saw, I peruse TikTok often, and I saw a video because remember how like Elden Ring blew up on TikTok for a while? They're like every 5 videos was somebody doing something crazy in Elden Ring. That's turning into this crab game. I keep seeing stuff where people are like getting freaked out by stuff. Like, there's like an underwater snake that just like if you go over a certain area in the sand, it comes up and scares the crap out of you. I don't know, man. Everyone's telling me that like Elden Ring is the one to get me into this style of gameplay, and I'm thinking maybe I should, because it's on Game Pass, isn't it?
Wait, the crab game is?
Yeah.
Is it?
I thought it was.
I choose. You know more about Xbox than I do, but it just means I gotta boot up my Xbox. You know
what's it called again?
Another Crab's Treasure.
Another Crab's Treasure. I will have to look that up and see if it's on. If it's on Game Pass.
You're using trash as your different shells throughout the game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the game just looks Absolutely adorable. Oh yeah, it looks like it's on the cloud gaming. Looks like
it's
on Game Pass.
another Xbox Game Pass pleasure.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a game. This is a game changer.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm about to crab it up on Xbox, baby.
Crab it up.
Is that what kids say? I'm going to crab it up.
Not at all. Not at all. Although I do find out that kids still think that crap is a swear word. I said crap in class the other day, and their eyes got real big, like Mr. Clark cursed.
Wow, that's kind of sweet to hear in this day and age where the internet is accessible. They can see depraved stuff at a moment's notice.
Mm-hmm.
That crap is still a swear word. It's kind of heartwarming somehow.
And when I was a kid, shut up was a swear word. Like you didn't dare say shut up to somebody. Now I can say it in Spanish and then have them don't know what I'm saying. Okay.
Is it just screaming silencio?
No, silencio is quiet, please. Cállate is shut up.
Oh, cállate. I like that. It's got a good ring to cállate.
I know.
It's got a good force. I could see Danny Trejo saying that to me, and then me immediately.
You just said it like machete, so that's
it's probably rhymed. It was subliminal, man. I can't get machete out of my head.
Just because they rhyme does not mean it works, man.
I think so. It's my new rap song. Machete screws cállate.
Oh, hey, by the way, we got a new Patreon episode available for you, man. I know you haven't listened to it yet because you haven't finished the show, but I sat down with CB and David Newman, and we did a spoiler cast for the Fallout TV series. Was not expecting us to get over an hour of conversation out of that. I actually had to cut it off because I think CB would have gone on for another hour if I had let him.
How much of it is just praising Walton Goggins?
I would say 3%.
Okay, that's a healthy percentage.
Yeah.
He's my favorite thing in the show so far. It's like a gunslinging ghoul. Come on, man.
That was I know. I watched that. I'm like, well, Zach's gonna automatically love this show.
He's the best character.
Just a given. But we by the time you hear this episode, that will be live for our $5 tier patrons, and then our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler cast that you and I did with Brandon is all available. And like I said, these are bonus episodes. You're getting this main episode for absolutely nothing. All you gotta do is download your favorite app and check it out each week, or even get it right from our website. But to help offset the costs of the production of this, we ask people to donate to our Patreon, and we give you some extra content as a thank you. So those are our 2 newest episodes, and Zach and I are still working on a trade or a Break the Seal episode, waiting for Zach to
good lord,
to start the Lone Ranger. And
this episode for 8 years.
I know, man. Well, at least I've like 3/4 of the way through my game. You could at least start yours. Just saying. Man.
I'm just taking you 2 months to get 3/4 of the way through Sands of Time. It's unbelievable.
Well,
but you're right.
It's not the only game I'm playing either.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong. Okay, it's me.
Plus, like, it should be an easy sell to get you to play the Lone Ranger. Like,
it's just because I don't know how to emulate, man. I don't. I got to learn a new skill set.
Now, here's what we do. We're going to find you a local mom and pop shop. I will send you some cash, and you just go buy yourself a Nintendo.
Well, I would love that. Sounds great.
But then you can actually do it with the zapper and everything. How
much is an NES these days, huh?
Dude, they're pretty.
Way too much, right?
I remember when they went up to $50, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me! An old console like that is."
I was say I remember seeing them in like pawn shops for $10 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they are harder. They do wear out. You know what I mean?
No, of course. It's hard to eliminate that part of your brain where you're like $70, man. I remember when you could get rid of these. Like I worked at GameStop when you couldn't get rid of. We wouldn't take a Wii. We'd give you a penny for it,
right,
and recycle it for you. But now they're like $50 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I am gonna look it up for you, man. Because if CB were here, he would definitely be able to.
I thought you would know off the top of your head.
Well, I haven't bought one in 30 years.
Yeah,
I've been rocking the same one for forever.
Have you really?
Yeah.
30. Wow. Okay. You must really take care of that thing.
Oh, that's a cabinet. That's the PAL version. You don't want a PAL version.
I love this. Is good radio.
This is great radio, but I mean, even the PAL version loose is like $75. So,
okay.
I would assume you're somewhere in that price range, but again, CB will most likely text us and let us know. But
I'll figure out the computer. Okay, one of these newfangled devices.
All right. As for upcoming episodes besides that one, Kevin and I are planning for the month of May to do a trade-off episode. He's got a Dreamcast game called Evolution: The World of Sacred Device that he wants me to play. And since the 1,000 Year Door is getting released on Switch, he's never played the original Paper Mario. So I'm going to have him play that, which is available on Nintendo Switch Online. So anyway, if you'd like to get access to those, or maybe just say thank you by helping us out over here at the Gaming Outsider, go to patreon.com/thegocast, and you can sign up for any tier. $1 tier gets you early access to the episode a day earlier than everybody else. $3 will get you a bonus episode, and $5 will get you 2 bonus episodes. And we really do appreciate it. So again, patreon.com/thegocast. Let's go ahead now and jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach. I got quite a backlog, so I'm hoping that we got another light week, but what's coming out?
You'll probably be safe because I think it's a little like this week. Prison Architect 2 comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC May 7th. Venture to the Vile comes to PC May 7th. Heading Out looks like it's an interesting road trip game coming to PC May 7th, or I guess it's like a road movie, like an old 70s car thriller.
Like a noir kind of thing?
No, not noir. Kind of like I guess, almost like the first Mad Max, if you remember.
Oh, okay.
Before it was all apocalyptic-y. V Rising exits early access and into full release on PC May 8th. Little Kitty Big City it's exactly what it describes. A free open world cat game coming to all consoles and PC May 9th. Animal Well is the first game from Big Mode, the video game donkey, the YouTuber's publishing label. Coming to PS5, Switch, and PC May 9th. And then Crow Country, a kind of throwback survival horror game, like think early Resident Evil, from the developers of Snipper Clips.
What?
Coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC May 9th. So those are on this list, Scott. I would assume Animal Well, because it looks platformy.
I think I might surprise you. I was actually going to say V Rising.
Oh, okay. I feel like you were giving me a hard time when I was interested in this game a few weeks ago.
No, was I?
Yeah, because it's a survival game, and you said, I don't play. Or maybe I'm thinking of, maybe it was a listener CB, I don't know.
I did not realize.
CB is a hard time giver, no doubt.
Yeah, I just, there's something about the way this game looks that gives me like old school, like 360 era vibes.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I don't know.
But I know the core gameplay is survival, where you're chopping down trees and building stuff for whatever.
No, then maybe not.
But I think the vampire thing to me is what's making me intrigued, because you can eat people and get their abilities. Sounds cool.
Yeah, Animal World does look interesting though. I think you just see anything that looks gear gated and you're like, yep, Scott's gonna like it. Scott's all about this one.
Well, not without cause.
I know. That's fair. That's fair. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean, I can't play V Rising because on PC. But when it comes to PS5, I'll check it out.
Why don't you just play on your Steam Deck?
Wow, it hurt. Oh, is that a knife in my back? The hell? But on the list of things I could play right now, probably Crow Country. I think that looks pretty cool as a nice little throwback. I assume a quick little survival horror adventure.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, well, I want to talk. Now that we can actually talk about it freely without any issues. Stellar Blade. So,
oh yeah,
I don't want to talk about any asses or anything like that. I don't want.
It's gonna be unavoidable. I tell you what.
Yeah, but you played the demo, so you talked to us a little bit about that. But now that you get your hands on the full game, is there anything vastly different, or I mean, do they start you off where you left off, or are you starting all fresh?
Yeah, I could have picked up the demo where I left off, but I decided to just restart so I could, kind of get into the flow of it. And like I said, with a demo, the combat in this game is excellent. Okay. Really digging, and it's got more layers as you go on as well. It's an interesting fusion because you're going to look at it in the way the lock-on works and the way you're kind of strafing around enemies and stuff. It's going to give you Souls vibes. And, you have the limited heals, and you even have the little rest areas where if you heal, you get your potions back with the enemies respawn, normal Souls-like stuff. But the actual flow of combat is kind of like a Devil May Cry Nier Automata fuse with the Souls game. Okay. So it kind of ends up with its own DNA, which is really cool. And, and the demo, I was just surprised at how Soulsy it was, because I feel like the trailers really make it look more Devil May Cry-ish.
Yeah, it's very fast-paced, repeated, quick hits.
Yeah, and the strikes are a little more considered than you would think they are. Like, it takes a little more time to wind up and stuff. But the way the actual combat flows, you do kind of feel like you're doing character action combos.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of your attacks kind of stagger the enemy, so you can do these cool little chain attacks, and you just kind of have to watch out for the retaliation, because they've got some enemies you have to dodge, or they have some attacks you have to dodge, some attacks you have to parry, or like vice versa. So you always have to say what they're going to do back to you. But I was surprised, because it's surprised yet again, because the demo, I was like, oh, I get it, it's like a Souls-like, but then as I play more of the game, I see, oh, it's kind of like it's its own flavor of combat. And it fuses those two worlds together very well. And it makes the boss fights really stand out, because they take a little more consideration of parrying and watching their attacks, their movements and stuff. But the way you're actually like dealing out damage and using your skills and stuff feels a little bit more Devil May Cry. So it's kind of an interesting combination.
Is the story interesting? I don't even know what the story is at all. I just see attractive Korean woman kicking ass and taking names. I don't know anything about the story.
Yeah, I was hoping you might take a little longer to get here, because the story is total snooze fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, just totally, completely uninteresting, top to bottom. I got Amazon actually shipped it to me a couple days early, so I got a pretty decent chunk into it. I'm like 10 hours in.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. According to the PlayStation, I'm 40% of the way through the story. So it's nice.
Some people were complaining it was like 30 hours long or something.
So that math will balance out to a little over 20 hours, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like over 20. People were saying that they did it in over like 35.
I mean, maybe there's a lot of side missions you can do. A lot of like request board stuff, that aren't very interesting.
Gotcha. Plus, you're just that good at these kind of games, so
yeah. Well, that is another. If you're familiar with these games, it's probably a little easier, but the bosses are still a challenge. Anyway, the story, boy, yeah, I'm like 10 hours into this game. I don't care about a single character. I couldn't actually tell you a personality trait of any of the characters I've met yet, because they're all so flat and boring, and like nobody so far has had a distinct personality. Which is not a good thing. And I get these are supposed to be like cybernetic human fusions, so kind of like half androids. So I don't know, maybe the idea is that they're not supposed to have a huge emotional range, but there'll be like scenes where characters die, but or they'll tell you a story about how like their wife died in their arms or whatever, but they just talk to you like, yes, she died in my arms. It was really sad. I cried for hours. So it's like, I don't know if I can even I can't blame the voice actors, because everybody is so flat that it almost feels like a voice direction choice or something.
Right.
But it makes it so I can't really engage with any of these clowns. And then the basic premise is, have you played Nier Automata?
I have.
Okay, so you know the premise then, because it's just lifted wholesale.
Oh, really? I think you had a tweet that said, I want to play Nier Automata. We have Nier Automata at home.
Yeah, it's Stellar Blade, absolutely. That is what it is. It's like devoutly reverent to Nier Automata. Like you're the sexy android lady from the colony floating above space. You get shot into a war. Most of your compatriots die right away, so you have to, rendezvous with the remnants of the androids on the surface, and but boy, oh boy, it sure does seem like maybe things aren't quite what they seem. But the difference, and it seems like, oh man, maybe this is a war, an endless war, a cycle. But the difference is Nier had characters you cared about, and actually engage with the philosophical themes instead of just being like, boy, war is hell, huh? Which is like is about as deep as Stellar Blade's gotten so far. But Nier Automata, actually, goes into, and I don't like comparing games to other games, but this game is so obsessive about Nier Automata that like they hired the composer.
Oh my goodness! Okay,
and he did 40% of the music, and the open world. There's 2 open world areas in the game, and they're both just like the way exploration works, and even the quest structure is like, okay, I'm playing a Nier fan game. is what it feels like, but without any of the running ability of Yoko Taro.
I mean, I feel like that's somewhat of a selling point for someone like you, with as much as you talk about Nier.
So, here's the thing, because it made me think about this, right? Because you think about something like Darksiders, we love it to death, but it's just Zelda, right?
More violent Zelda, yeah.
I was gonna say, but it put its own spin on it with the War of the Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen and the M-rated nature of it. Whereas this game is just Nier Automata, like it so desperately wants to be, and it's frustrating because when the game is just itself, like in the exploration or the combat or the boss battles, when it's just allowing itself to kind of be its own game, it's great. It's a lot of fun, and it's gotten, and the game gets more and more fun as it goes. And Scott, this is you will not believe this concept they have in this game, where as you progress through the story, you get new abilities.
Whoa!
As part of the narrative.
Okay.
What a throwback. It's not.
It's
not all just
instead of a skill tree, is what you're saying. Okay.
It's not just all skill tree. It's like actual, like, hey, I recalibrated your Android frame, so you'll probably notice you can double jump now, basically, and now you have access to more areas. But it's not just a thing I picked off a skill tree, and therefore it's actually kind of useless. But like it's actually being used in the gameplay.
Right.
It's just been a while since I've seen a AAA game do this to this regular pace that I'm seeing here. And exploring those open worlds is a lot of fun, and even there's like there is one side quest that had a good storyline to it. Like I like what's happening in the story, but again, the characters emote like they're talking to a brick wall. It's really frustrating. But the main story so far has been totally boring. It is very like I got through the opening area and I get to this guy and he's like, "Oh, that's great that you found this item. Here's where the other 4 of these are. You should go find those." And then I did one of those, and there wasn't a single like narrative beat that occurred during that. It was just getting the item. And I've learned my lesson about enjoying slow-paced stories. I've learned that that's good. But usually a slow-paced story still has an interesting character somewhere.
Right.
And I don't care about anybody in this game. I don't know what Eve's motivation is. Like, I don't know what this character is about.
Like she's just doing what she's told at this point?
like her objective is to kill alpha Natibas. The Natibas are the bad guys, like the monsters of the game. And her objective is to kill alpha Natibas, but I don't know why. I don't know what for. I don't know why when her whole squad got wiped out, why it is important to her to still kill these things. She doesn't even seem like she's affected by the fact that all of her friends died. Like there's no emotional beat where she cares about it.
Well, she's part Android, right? Or is that?
Well, the humanity in this game is like they're like cybernetically fused. She's not like, it's not like an android like in Nier Automata where they're like wholly fake beings.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cybernetically enhanced human thing.
Okay, that's fair.
So it's a different spin on it in that way. It doesn't make any real difference. But what I'm saying is, even if her being emotionless was an android, or she had this prime directive or whatever, that hasn't been explored or talked about in any way, and every other character behaves exactly the same way, that it just doesn't work.
Well, I hope something happens that just like kind of opens it all up. Like I'm worried I'm saying all this and then it'll be some huge twist. And I'm like, oh, actually, it was brilliant and it was all set up. I don't think that's going to happen. It would be a long setup. It wouldn't be the first time a game has done that, I suppose, but still.
Yeah, but even in a game like Shadow of the Colossus with no story, like no plot, as it were, you still got like, you're still intrigued by things. I'm not intrigued by anything happening here.
Weird, because everybody that isn't pissed off about this game is praising this game. Like, it's getting pretty stellar reviews.
Well, that's like, the act of playing it is incredible. Mm-hmm. And it really makes me like, I can't wait for their next game, because now that they've bled the Nier well dry, hopefully their next game is an actual like original concept.
Right.
And I'm not just saying this as like a Nier fan. It's pretty blatant, man.
Yeah.
And I think if you played it, you would know that. But it's so like their next game, I think, is going to be something really special. And I am really liking playing this game. And like the exploration is really fun. The there are like basically like dungeons that are more linear, and they have a lot of like interesting puzzles. Or there was one where I couldn't use my sword the whole time, so it kind of turned into a survival horror shooter. Or there will be like Zelda style puzzles where I'm like redirecting laser beams around the environment or moving blocks. Like it's kind of like it's really fun to play. Really great pacing. The combat, love it to death. And I feel like you're seeing like new angles to it as you go on, or the enemies are shifting in such a way where like you kind of have to pay attention to your strategies, and it's really engaging and it really keeps the pace fresh throughout. I'm just disappointed that like I don't care about, like, if Eve died in the next cutscene, I would not feel a single emotional beat about it.
Right.
And that's not good 10 hours into a game.
Like if you were replaced with Raiden, you wouldn't care.
Yeah, or I mean, like every character sounds like every other character so far.
Did I say that character name right, by the way? Is it Raiden?
You're talking about from Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 2 where you're not
I think
Snake.
it's Raiden.
Raiden?
Yeah.
I said Raiden,
I mean, Raiden's a great character. See?
I never had a problem with that. I thought it was kind of a fun twist that they didn't tell you that you're not going to be playing as Snake for most of the game.
Right. So hopefully next week I come back and say, "Oh my God, I was so wrong. It was this crazy twist in the plot. It changes everything." I don't think that's possible. I really don't think I'll care about these characters. But yeah, I still
having fun playing it.
Yeah, I still really do recommend it because it is that fun to play. It's just, it's a really good game, and I was just expecting it to be great, I guess.
Gotcha. I mean, that's still like it sounds like you would give it a good score if you were scoring it. So
yeah, I'm sure. And if the combat keeps building on itself the way it's doing, I really think like those last few bosses are gonna be something special, man. If it continues at the rate it's going. And hey, if you really do care about dressing up, tons of outfits. I'm getting more outfits than I know what to do with in this game. So far I've found one that is not scandalous. So out of about 25.
She's wearing culottes.
She's wearing she's kind of wearing like a hoodie and like jogging pants. No. So it still kind of hugs her butt, but that's the closest you're gonna get to not running around with it. But, it's weird, Scott, if I may, because I don't mind that she's sexy, but the fact that she's got no personality, it really just kind of feel like I'm just like dressing up a doll when I'm putting on outfits and stuff. Because you can also customize her hair and put little accessory glasses and earrings on her if you want. It's really
I will never do that. If it doesn't have anything to do with the gameplay, I will never do that in a game.
Oh, well, yeah. None of the outfits have any difference from each other gameplay wise.
Yeah,
it's just
I'm the one that like does a pre-selected character in Skyrim, or like the random button until one just looks kind of cool.
Yeah, same. Or I'll usually stick with the default look of a character for almost the whole game.
Especially if it's a first-person game, like why do I care?
Sure, yeah, of course.
But I guess Baldur's Gate 3 is the one exception. I did take some time making a character that I thought looked pretty cool, but that's a third-person game, and I'm seeing that character talk and interact with people all the time
for probably hundreds of hours.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess ultimately I do recommend it. It's just you got to know that you're probably not going to care about the story. I would be surprised if somebody walked away from this having a profound narrative reaction to it. But I would love to hear somebody else's liking the story more than me.
Sounds good.
But speaking of games up our alleys, Scott, Tales of Kenzera Zao came out. I know it's a Geargate game. I hate to shoehorn you, but you also did buy this game right away. So
I did. I tried to get a review copy and I could not. So I actually dropped the money for this one because it just looks so freaking cool. But at the same time, dude, I was kind of hesitant going into this one slightly because of how good Lost Crown was. Like that game was phenomenal and just hit on so many notes, and I was like, "Is this going to top that?" You know what I mean? So I almost wish this one had come out before, because it's just probably not going to do that. However, there is some really cool stuff going on in this game. The story is you are your father has passed, and you are basically deciding to go and speak to the spirits and convince them to take your life instead of theirs. So you run into a spirit that becomes your companion, that kind of becomes like your tutorial as you go through stuff. And he wants to observe you to see if you're worthy of even attempting these trials to make that happen. And so that's about as far as I am story-wise. But the thing that stands out to me with this game is the movement. The movement feels so slick. I think I can't remember if I said this to you yesterday, but I'm getting hints of Sonic, and I know that sounds weird.
Sounds cool.
Well, but not like in a, running through and doing loops and things like that. Like more of a momentum thing, because I feel like no matter what is going on, I'm always moving forward with this character. Like I'm constantly just bouncing off walls. I'm bouncing off of enemies. I'm attacking enemies here, jumping over here. Like every movement that I do feels like I'm doing it with purpose, and it feels really, really cool. It's so like imagine like that quick movement of a Sonic game, but you've got quick redos. When you mess up, instead of like losing rings, like you die and then just like it fires you back to like the last checkpoint ish and starts you there. It's not as quick as like a Super Meat Boy or something like that, but it's still really, really quick. You have, at least at the start of the game, you have two different masks that you can wear, and one is kind of like it's almost like elemental. Like one feels like it's a fire, one feels like it's ice. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
And the combat, comes in as you progress through there. You're going to come across enemies that are either blue or orange, and you have to have the right mask on to be able to do a lot of damage. You can still damage them, but you're going to be much more effective. The push and pull of the combat is that you have a stamina. Like anytime you do any attacks, your stamina meter goes down, and once that stamina meter runs down, you have to wait for that to recharge in order to, be able to attack again, or at least do that attack again, because you have a light attack and you have a heavy attack. But clearly, you're used to doing your light attack first. So I've gotten into this habit of using my light attack until it runs out, and then following it up with a heavy attack while I'm kind of waiting to do that. That was my starting strategy. But then, and Zach, you'll appreciate this, you earn an ability that basically does an active reload. So so like you deplete your stamina meter, and it literally pulls up that gauge and gives you that nice little white slice that if you land it on there, it just instantly refills your stamina.
Love it.
So, but that in a 2D gear-gated game like this is something that feels completely new to me. It gets a little hairy. I'm stuck in an arena section right now where they actually tell you, make sure you're prepared before you go into this. And it's like an elevator that you're riding up, and enemies just keep spawning. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really tough. But I refuse to change the difficulty level. So, and then the gear gated elements of it in terms of, what you acquire to access new things. You have a double jump pretty early, but like one of the powers of the ice mask is like to throw something that freezes, and like so there's waterfalls. You just freeze a water.
Can you do are you like jumping wall to wall?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
So but what's interesting is like you can run through the waterfall when it's not frozen. You know what I mean? So you know what I'm saying? Like you can go through it. It becomes a section to go to. But once I freeze it, now I can actually use it to wall jump my way up, which is just, there's a little bit of that just feels super fresh to me. I like that. So
it's always interesting in these games. When will the double jump come?
Yeah,
every one of them has a double jump.
Well, and remember, like in Lost Crown, it came over halfway through that game. I feel like,
yeah,
which was like a revelation when it finally did. But
right.
This one has a double jump quite early. The only real gripe I have so far is when you go to look at the map, because you're going to go do that in this style of game, right? You want to, because where am I going? Where am I headed? What did I miss?
Right,
so you're constantly going back to the map.
I can't get all my missile upgrades.
Yeah, right. And this could be like a minor complaint, but when you come back, there's like it feels like a delay before I'm able to start moving my character again. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to like hitting the map button to go back and then just instantly start moving. I feel like I'm waiting. I'm pressing and pressing and pressing, and then it's probably only like a second and a half.
but it adds up, and you're right. You're checking your map so often in this genre that I could see how that would be frustrating.
Right. I don't know. I'm hoping that might be something that's patched, but again, this is a $20 game, so it's not.
It was so nice to see that price point, by the way.
And it's so nice to see because right before I bought it, I looked up on how long to beat. It was 8.5 hours.
Oh, music to my ears.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wanted more of Lost Crown, but the idea that I can go through a game like this and be done with it in less than 10 hours is awesome. So it is gorgeous. I can't get over the movement, dude. I wish there was a demo just so I could explain to you how the movement feels so satisfying.
I fully intend on picking this game up at some point.
Okay. I highly recommend it. I obviously like the early bits. I'm like maybe an hour and a half into this, so I'm not super far. I feel guilty saying this, but
It's an hour and a half in. You already have a few abilities, huh?
yeah, like I said, it comes because it's a shorter game. You're going to get stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Oh, and your attacks. I didn't even talk about this, but you have your main attack and your light attack and heavy attack are obviously there, but you also have a ranged attack, and you use that by pointing with the right stick. So like when you're moving, you hold down like the L button, aim with a stick to be able to, and then you hit the attack button. It's just really cool. So I can actually do some range stuff, jump out of the way while I wait for that to replenish, go do a heavy attack, sneak around, jump on the other side of this guy, switch to the different colored mask. Like it's constantly going back and forth, and just like the word that I feel like you and I both have used to describe is like you're conducting a symphony of stuff. And as long as you keep moving, it's great. I think part of the reason I'm struggling with that arena section I'm in right now is it's such close quarters combat. Whereas before, leading up to that, I had room to run. I had room to jump off of this wall and do this. It's just, it feels really great. It looks gorgeous. I'm loving Tales of Kenzera Zhao, which, by the way, is the main character's name. I don't know if that was clear in the trailer.
I assume so, due to its placement.
Yeah. And plus, I just love the way people in that culture speak. You know what I mean? There are flavors of Black Panther, not only because of the culture, but because it's like modern technology like Black Panther does. You know, where their technology is like so far advanced, and there are things that just feel advanced in the environment. That looks really cool. I'm really digging it. So there you have it.
Wow. Are you digging zombies, aliens, and guns?
I think the question you should be asking is, did I dig zombies, aliens, and guns? Because this is apparently I've got a knack for reviewing games that take less than 2 hours to complete. This one I got the entire 1,000 achievement points in under 2 hours. It's very short.
Okay.
It's Ratalaika. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that publisher. They traditionally have games that achievement hunters love because they can get them for $5 and get 1,000 achievement points in under an hour, and it's. But the developer is Nine Ratones and Sergio Pavaroni. It's a twin stick shooter, but the aesthetics are if Minecraft were Paper Mario. I don't know if you watched the trailer, but like it's very sprite heavy characters, but they're flat. So you're running around on like an isometric view, but they've got that Paper Mario thing where even if they turn around, you know,
they're so flat.
You see their profile, so you see them disappear for a second when they turn around to come after you. But very simplistic, but to its credit, they do a lot of interesting things from level to level. I mean, the levels are seriously like 2-3 minutes. And you like in one, you're just like getting from A to B, killing enemies as you go. In one, I am finding survivors. In another, I'm finding, I don't know, whatever supplies or whatever thing that's needed. In one, I'm defending something. Or in one, I'm in a giant tank taking out a train. Like it's just you're constantly doing something different. But, you know, considering the game is only a couple hours long, I was ready for it to be done. I don't mean to crap on a game, but this is a game to play for the achievements or trophies, if that's what you're into.
One of those.
Yeah, it is pretty generic. There's like 3 different weapons, and I didn't like any of them. Then except for this one that you get towards the end that just is like, where has this been all my life? And I wound up using that for the rest of the game. But like, you've got your health and your ammo like floating above your head, which is constantly replenishing itself anyway. Like slowly, if you don't do anything, those go up. Even the ammo, which that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess that doesn't make sense for health either. But there's still like ammo crates and health crates as you go that will just immediately replenish it. But they are placed in the weirdest places, man. Like I feel like anytime I didn't need one, they were everywhere. Every time I did need one, they were nowhere to be seen. You know what I mean?
Sounds frustrating.
It is frustrating. And you can't spin the camera around, which is traditional for this type of game, right? You couldn't do that in Vampire Survivors or games like that. But when enemies are coming at you from, like, coming at you from different places, I'd like to be able to see what's coming. You know, because some of them are ranged attacks and everything. But I don't know. I didn't love this game. The only way I'd really recommend it is if you want some easy achievement points. And I feel like that's never a good reason to recommend a game, right?
I mean, I agree. I would want my achievement points to come from meaningful games.
Yeah, nowadays, yes. Back in the day, I would have eaten this up when I was just trying to stay ahead of CB.
You're right. We all went through the phase of I got to get all these trophies, but now I'm definitely quality over quantity. I guess.
It's crazy how much that has waned for me in the last couple of years. Like it's like I don't have as much time to focus on that.
It's also just exhausting because games like this keep coming out. It's exhausting to keep up, really.
Right. You know, it's like, I mean, I'm still in, even with the number I've got, I'm still like in the, you know, we get that report at the end of the year. I'm in like the top 1% of achievements because nobody's doing it. Like it's such a minority of people that actually care about achievements. Right. You know what I mean? And it's not like we get anything for them. I thought they were like unrolling a program where you could start getting, you know, some points back or you know, some credits to purchase.
We're back on 360 when some achievements would give you little avatar rewards.
Yeah, even that dude would be great. Like a way to show, or a T-shirt.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I had a Guybrush Threepwood Q-tip from Monkey Island on for my avatar.
That's fun.
I don't know if you ever played Monkey Island, but it was okay. That was like the key to unlock this. Anyway, so yeah, this is. I'm never gonna play this again. As soon as I beat it, I uninstalled it. Not like out of hatred. I'm just like I'm never gonna touch it again. Right. There's no upgrades. You know, like how in some of these, like even in like Shimacrosses, you know, you get these little upgrades that make your guns shoot better. Or there's no upgrades. You can either get a regular gun, you can get a shotgun, you can get a machine gun, and there's just one that I like better, and I just stuck with that the entire game. Like even when you beat a level, you carry over whichever weapon you ended with in the last level.
Oh, so you really could just use that one gun to the end.
Yeah. It's a neat concept, like the Paper Mario aesthetic, but it also created issues with hitbox detection. Because I felt like the only time I ever knew I was really going to hit an enemy was when they were profiled. You know, but if I'm going sideways, I don't know if I'm going too high, too low. I don't know where to hit them.
Right.
Because of the perspective shot. So yeah. Zombies, aliens, and guns it's okay.
It's resoundingly okay.
I feel bad talking about something that somebody put a lot of work into. You know what I mean? Like it's just. But I've played some other Ratalaika games that were fun, even though they were short-lived. I still enjoyed the experience almost all the way through. This one I was kind of bored of the formula a half an hour in. So anyway, got one more game to talk to you guys about. I talked to Marc Szymanski, who's becoming one of our most active contributing writers for here. He's got a new game to talk to you about. I'm going to play that for you right now. Well, hello there, Marc. You're becoming quite a regular here. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Scott. It's a good Sunday afternoon. Sun's out, and it's nice. I'm wearing shorts. It's great.
It's crazy. We had a party here last night, and I was wearing shorts all day long. It was in the 80s. It's like we skipped over spring for a minute and just like went straight into summer. But, you know, now it's cold again today, so we're back to normal.
Oh, then I'll be probably a day behind you.
There you go. Well, you were here to talk to us about Lunar Lander Beyond.
Yes.
Which I am not familiar with the original Lunar Lander, which in your review you said was like an Atari staple?
I don't know about staple, but it was definitely an arcade classic, something you would have seen in like the movie Tron or something like that if you were around for video games back then.
Gotcha. Well, this one was kind of a surprise because go back and look at Lunar Lander a little bit, but the trailer looks like it's just kind of taking it up more than one notch, I'd say, in both gameplay, but in also story, because there wasn't really a story in the arcade game, correct?
Correct.
So tell everybody about the art aesthetic in terms of the storytelling, because that sounds really intriguing to me from your review.
Oh, it sure is. And immediately, because I'm a child of the 80s, and the opening cinematic was just straight out of the afternoon cartoons when I'd get home from school and watch like He-Man, Transformers, GoBots, whatever you may have watched back then. And it just reminded me of it. And with the Atari logo, I was sucked in immediately. I couldn't help but smile and just feel like a little kid again.
Very cool. So what is the story?
Okay, so the story is you are a new recruit for this evil corporation, Pegasus Corporation, who frequently loses pilots to injuries and death because the job is considered very dangerous to be a landing pilot. And so you're brought in to be the next fresh face, and hopefully you live long enough to make a difference. And so you start right in. You get trained in a couple of those practice missions like most games have these days. And then they tell you that your training is complete, although it should have been a lot longer. They don't care. They just want you to get to work. And you start doing missions. You start picking people up or picking up cargo and then taking it back and landing your aircraft or spacecraft. And then you move on to the next mission. And in between every mission is a cutscene with this awesome comic cartoon style that I love so much, and they just progress the story through that.
I feel like we've missed that in games lately. Like back in the day, you played a game, you got through a level, and you were rewarded with a cutscene or a story beat or something like that. Nowadays, because of technology being so high, we kind of are immersed in that story amidst the gameplay, and there's something cool about going back and going to that formula. So I like it. Now, again, I only watched the trailer, and the trailer I saw was very short, so it showed the gameplay very little. So what I could gather from the trailer is that, it's a 2D, almost like a space shooter, but you're not necessarily having direct control over your spacecraft. It's kind of like you point a direction, and then you have a thrust. Am I...
Kind of. No, I'd say you have control over your spaceship. It is a little hard to control. So I'll grant that, but you don't shoot at anything either. So you said space shooter. I wanted to make sure that was clear. You are not attacking any of the enemies. You are basically trying to just avoid them. So that you can get from point A to point B, rescue, cargo, whatever the case may be in the mission, and then go back and land your spacecraft.
Gotcha. So the thing that intrigued me the most about what I read in your written review, which can be read at thegamingoutsiders.com, is this element of stress, which is something that I feel like harkens back to, oh man, there was a GameCube game that had like an insanity meter, and I'm drawing a blank on what the name of that game is.
I don't remember it either, but I know it. As soon as I see it, I'll look it up and I'll kick myself.
Eternal Darkness.
Yep.
Eternal Darkness. Yeah, where like you kind of like have this insanity meter where things start affecting the gameplay based on how insane your character goes. It seems like that's what this is, except with stress being the thing that is affecting gameplay. Is that an accurate assessment?
Very accurate. In fact, once your stress meter fills up to 100%, you are called totally. There's the word insane is in the description in the game when you max it out. But it is quite similar. So once your stress level starts increasing, you start seeing things. Your spacecraft, I keep saying that, spacecraft keeps getting harder and harder to fly. In fact, it's right down to the buttons. So the right shoulder button on my PlayStation remote is the throttle of the spacecraft. And the more stress you get, the harder it is to push that button down. So
it uses like the haptic elements of the controller to make it more difficult to pull. That's clever.
It is. Loved it.
I feel like there's not a ton of games that utilize that PS5 controller to its full extent. So
not
that's
that
cool
I've played.
See.
It is very cool to see.
So are you finding this game satisfying? I mean, at initial glance, I get the, my initial gut reaction is like, I want to shoot stuff. You know what I mean? But with this being a lander game or just, dodging, escaping kind of things, it sounds like you still really liked it.
I sure did. And I liked it because if you know me, I like to be able to set my difficulty level I like to spend like 4 or 5 hours on a game unless it really drags me in. I'll grant I like the longer games, the Hogwarts Legacies, the you name it, whatever those large scale games are. I do like, but if you can give me a game where I can sit down, focus on it, if the story pulls me in like this one did, and I roll the credits after 4, maybe 5 hours, you have a winner in my heart. So I really enjoyed it. I really think anybody can try it out. No, you're not going to get the same satisfaction you would out of a normal shooter game, but the story is enough to keep me going. The gameplay itself was pretty minimal. Each mission was maybe 2 minutes to maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then the cutscenes in between were another, 4 or 5 minutes, and there's probably a total of about 30 to 40 missions. So you get through the game really quick, and it's snap, 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 peppy. They don't drag their feet on anything, which was fantastic. There wasn't any filler. Nothing really set this game apart other than to say, no, it's not a shooter. Part to say negatively, I should say. Other than it's not a shooter, you put it on easy, it might be a little too easy for you. But otherwise, it's a fun little game, and it's a game that anybody can play. I'd say even a 5 or a 6-year-old could pick up the remotes and get the hang of how to fly the craft and land, and not get frustrated by it.
Very cool. It sounds like Atari is doing more of this kind of stuff. I don't know if you've checked them out, but there's been a whole onslaught of these types of games where they're taking these classic properties and turning them into these like new things. The Yars Recharged, I think, was a personal favorite of mine.
Yep.
If you remember Yars Revenge, this is a traditional Yars game, but it's got a really clever twist on it. Have you played that one?
I have not.
You should check that out, man. That's a pretty fun game. I really dug that one a lot. So,
they
Marc
also did Haunted House not that long ago, last year.
Yeah, that one, I feel like they really kind of upped that one in
really
terms of
yes.
Yeah. Yars is still like a Yars game.
Okay.
But it's also short and sweet. You know what I mean? So
this one would probably be closer to your Yars example.
Yeah, I think that's why I recommended it to you, because if you're a child of the 80s like I am, and Yars Revenge is such a nostalgia thing for me on so many levels. So going to play that and seeing what they did to make that game still feel like the original, but also have a bit of freshness to it is pretty cool. And it sounds like that's what they're doing with Lunar Lander here, so that's pretty awesome. The game was developed by Dreams Uncorporated and is published by Atari. And we got to give a shout out to Uber Strategist for hooking you up with the review copy for that one.
Thank you very much.
Well, Marc, thank you so much for checking out Lunar Lander Beyond. It's one I'm going to have to, add to my ever-increasing backlog.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. But thanks for checking it out, and we'll catch you next time.
Sure will. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Marc. As always, great to chat with you, sir. Let's move on to some quick housekeeping. And everybody, if you could, go to Apple Podcasts and drop us a review if you can. Apple Podcasts, not iTunes. But Apple Podcasts, Zach. You see what I did there?
Yeah, I see. You're making fun of me.
Well, no, I was just making sure you knew I listened. Because it hadn't been changed in the format, and I changed it on the format.
Oh, I see. You're right. Oh, I for some reason thought that was somehow digging at me, but I guess you were just reflecting the change.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. So yeah, like Zach said, we've been told it helps us to get the word out there about the show, but it's always nice to hear that you like the show too, so if you get a chance, review it. Also, our website, thegamingoutsider.com, has all the podcast episodes, all the written content, including Marc's review of Let's Revolution, which I don't know if you heard him talk about that game. I kind of want to play that game.
He sold you on it.
He did sell me on that. He also reviewed Shadow of the Depth, which he also sold me on that one too. So it's just too many freaking games, man. Jacob's review of Katomon Hyper Auto Battlers is also there, as well as my written review for Zombies, Aliens, and Guns. And lastly, Alyssa's review of El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron is available on the website as well. You can check that out. Again, the website is thegamingoutsider.com. All right, Zach, it's time to jump into our From the Outside In topic. This week's From the Outside In topic, we thought it would be fun to make our case for what video game property should be next adapted for TV. After the success of Fallout and The Last of Us, and maybe some others, but those are the two big ones, it feels like producers are finally getting it right. So we wanted to give our thoughts on which properties we'd like to see get similar treatments. So Zach, in your mind, what has changed recently to make these series work so much better than they have in film and TV in the past. Like I feel like we were just always complaining about anything that was on the screen.
That was always the joke, right? Video game adaptations are garbage. But I think the people care now. I think the people involved in making the shows care about the property. And I think that translates, because that's such a good way to get word of mouth, is to make the fans happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're making these shows, it feels like there's even the Sonic movie, which I know isn't a show, but there's some respect and reverence for the property.
Well, it is a show now.
Yeah, I guess your Knuckles, you're absolutely right. Yeah, somehow I forgot about that. Doesn't seem great. But anyway, the point is, I think most of these things people care now, and that's important. Or Fallout had Todd Howard's involvement, or The Last of Us had Neil Druckmann's involvement.
The two most popular, successful ones had the original video game developers involved in it. What do you know?
Tap the creators. Yeah, who knew? So I just think that stuff goes a long way, and you can smell when people don't care, like the Halo show. No,
we're absolutely not playing the game before we do this.
Yeah, in fact, we refuse. In fact, if you play the game, you're fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one seems to be popular with like older people somehow, but fans of the game seem to hate that show. I've
talked to one person that talked positively about that show. That they really enjoyed it. Which again, I've only watched one episode, and I was very much whatever. I wasn't drawn in like it was with Fallout. After that first episode, I was like, I got to watch more. What's interesting to me is that talking to people who have watched this series, the Fallout series, but have never played the game, and they're enjoying it. They're really enjoying it. I mean, look at the numbers of Fallout sales on,
right. Fallout 76 had 1 million people in a day. Are you kidding me?
It's insane, right?
That game, they were selling that game for like $2.99 in stores a month after it came out.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
And now it's just crazy popular. But like hearing the reaction from people that don't play the games and don't know all the little details that we recognize as game players, I think that's an important factor, is that you are appeasing both audiences instead of just one or the other. You know what I mean? Where you make something that is going to be enjoyable for a film or TV fan, but you're also going to give nods to people that love the original property, but if you don't know them, you don't feel left out. I feel like, a stim pack being in Fallout, the TV series, is just done as, that's just something that they use to heal in this world.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
yeah, it's just medicine, but if you know the game, you're like, oh my God, a stim pack.
Because it looks exactly like it does in the game, or when someone uses a jet, or what's the Enrage one? Psycho? Was that those things were called? When someone uses one of those, you're like, that, but you just see it and go, that's something that exists in this world. You know what I mean? And
I think you're right. It is smart to. You still need to make a good TV show, but if you care about the property, you can sprinkle in those things that people will care to see. And Fallout, I think, does it brilliantly, like you said, with the stim pack, where it doesn't. You don't need to know this at all to know what its function is, but it is one of those little things. If you're a fan, you go, "Whoa!"
Yeah, so many of them too. There's lots of them as you go through. Like, I kind of want to rewatch the series and just like take notes of all the ones that
even the trailer, when you saw the Brotherhood of Steel armor, you're like, holy crap, that's just like, it walked right out of the game.
It looks exactly like the game, but just in real life. Like they created it perfectly. It was so good.
So, and the vibe with the old timey music and everything, it's just trust that, the series is popular enough for us to adapt. So obviously people love it. Let's just carefully bring that to a different audience.
Right. Let's lean into it and use what made the original property successful and compound on that. I used to get so frustrated when filmmakers or TV series people would, that's a really cool idea, but we're going to make it better with this. We're going to make the Animus a giant crane that's actually attached to this character.
That's a great point. Yeah, but people love the Animus as it was.
It was perfect as it was. There was a suspension of disbelief that you didn't need explained. Like there was nothing wrong with doing that.
It was like, we've seen The Matrix. We know what jacking in is,
Yeah. Like there's no problem to believe that someone can sit in this machine and then go experience whatever. Like that was such a missed opportunity. But it felt like, oh, well, people that are going to watch this movie don't know games, so we're going to have to explain this in a way that makes sense for them. No, you didn't.
Right. Like make it a Captain America movie, be like, yeah, well, the shield's a little silly, so we're going to give him like, a pistol instead.
I mean, he did have a pistol, to be fair.
I understand, yeah, but
So I'm curious about your thoughts when it comes to actors for shows like these. Do you think that they should work with Hollywood actors for these roles? Or do you think they should tap into the voice talent that made these characters so famous? Fallout's not a good example. I've outside of like the voiceovers of like Ron Perlman and the little bit you get of Liam Neeson in Fallout 3, you don't go play those games because of the voices. But I'm talking about just generally speaking.
Yeah, that is an interesting question because I think you do screen acting and voice acting are two different talents.
Mm-hmm.
I think what The Last of Us did with Troy Baker or Ashley Johnson was probably the right way to go, where you give them a role, if not perhaps the role that they had. Because, I as great as Troy Baker is as Joel, he would not physically look the part.
No, he doesn't.
Troy Baker, great actor, but I wouldn't say he doesn't have an intimidating presence like Pedro Pascal can. So you need to cast for the screen, and I respect that, but I think you got to give a little nod to the people who made these characters endearing in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like a little wasn't it in the Uncharted movie where Nolan North is just like sitting on the beach?
Yeah, he's a little cameo, or he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, I fell out of a cargo plane." Oh yeah, something like that happened to me once. Yeah. That's a nice little nod for the fans.
Yeah, or Kitty got wet.
But you can't have Nolan North being Nathan Drake in that movie.
No, he doesn't. Well, I mean, he's getting up there.
Tom Holland doesn't really look the part either, but
just on the opposite spectrum.
Yeah, Nolan North just wasn't. He wasn't going to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like you said, they're two different arts. Obviously, Hollywood actors are going to be able to do that better. But can we try it once?
That's what I was. I am frustrated about Ahsoka because the voice actress was so good, and she has a lot of stage acting experience. So when she was like, they didn't even let her audition, I was like, that seems so crummy to me. Because who's to say she couldn't do it?
Right. It's like you're not. And I feel like we've gotten away from actors' faces being the things that sell movies as much as they used to. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
There are certain ones that like if a Tom Hanks movie comes out, I'm probably going to see it. You know what I mean? Just because he chooses roles in films that I am probably going to like. But is Rosario Dawson going to sell you on Ahsoka?
No. She, in fact, turned me off of Ahsoka.
Oh, really?
She's so far removed from the animated character I know.
But I would probably also argue that she is probably more recognizable than, and forgive me, I don't know the actress's name.
Ashley Eckstein, yeah. No, of course she is. But like you said, no one tuned into Ahsoka because of Rosario Dawson.
Right.
They turned into it because of the Star Wars show. And yeah, the death of the movie star has been talked about for years now, but I think it's pretty quantifiably true.
Like what's an example of a game where you'd like to have the original voice actor be the actor? Like, can you think of one?
Be the same character?
Yeah. Like, I don't even know who voices Lara Croft, but I want that voice in Lara Croft.
Camilla Luddington?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she would be great. I was going to think Christopher Judge as Kratos would be pretty great.
Yeah.
He could translate well. He's a big old dude. He could nail that.
Is he... Well, that's the problem, though. Is he old? I don't know. He looks like he's not in his 20s.
He is certainly older, but as is Kratos.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you're right. Yeah, could he do the big giant fight against Baldur or whatever? Perhaps not.
Christopher Judge is not a god.
That's where stunt crew comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they make stunt guys that big, but surely they must. He's just a big guy, is what I'm saying.
I mean, clearly the guy that played Marcus Phoenix, DiMaggio, what's his name?
John DiMaggio.
John DiMaggio is not going to play Marcus Phoenix.
No.
Right.
No, but that's the beauty of voice acting, is that, you know, you can hire the best actor because they don't need to look a certain part in video games. I mean.
Oh, by the way, I saw somebody tweet the other day that, speaking of Reacher, you're watching that show right now.
Yeah, great show.
How about him for Baird?
For Damon Baird?
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say he's a bit big, but I guess everybody's huge in that universe.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if we're talking about Dave Bautista, we're talking about The Rock.
you got to have Dave Bautista as Mark. Come on, he's born for the role.
Yeah.
They just
He's
need to make it
petitioned.
before they just need to make it before he ages out of the ability.
I don't know, just
But,
looking at I don't know the actor's name that plays Reacher, but like he just kind of looks like a Damon Baird to me.
Yeah, you slap some goggles on that guy, I could believe it. Frost his tips a little bit.
Yeah, dude.
It's good to go. I mean, I'm on board. Bear's the best character in the series, obviously. Everybody knows that. So.
Except he had the crappiest game. I didn't like Judgment very much at all.
Yeah, Judgment was the weakest gears. There's no question. I just really love Baird. He's such an a-hole.
It's so much fun going through and playing those games with Joel. And I know the lines, but hearing him chuckle whenever Baird says some of those infamous lines it's great. So
did you do the sniping where that's 5, mother effer?
I don't remember. Is that
no. All right?
We're on 4. Is that
it's an optional dialogue in Gears of War 2.
Oh,
it's like if there's a parade of locusts, but if you shoot them, snipe them from afar, Marcus gets more excited each time he gets a number.
Oh, and
he starts screaming by the time you get to 5. It's really fun. That's a very specific reference. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I got to go back and do that again now. But not that that's a tough sell to go play that game again.
Good.
It was good. So let's hear it. What series would you like to see made into the next great video game TV series?
Oh, well, we talked about it. The first thing that came to my mind was Gears of War.
Yeah.
I mean, just that kind of apocalyptic military setting. It seems like you could do that on a TV budget, or at least a streaming budget. And those stories, that world has enough depth to it where you could focus on the scientists working in the labs, trying to find a way to fight them, or you could even cut away to what the locusts are doing that we don't get to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a lot to explore in that universe, and it's so rich and interesting. And you could probably do flashbacks to what got Marcus in that prison,
Yeah. Or you could do the Fallout thing and like have the opening scene be Immersions Day.
Yeah.
And then go back to forward and everybody's the possibilities there are great.
Yeah, I just think that's such a rich and compelling universe that it would be easy to set a video game or to set a TV show there.
Yeah.
And I think it would work better. That series works better in TV than movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like something like Prince of Persia, I think has a rich adaptation potential, but a movie works better for that.
I would agree. Yeah.
Just a little adventure, and not Jake Gyllenhaal.
Dude, I didn't even play those games that much back in the day, and his accent annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, I think I see where they're coming from because he's got a British accent in the game. But it's one thing when it's a guy that kind of looks Persian in the game and just happens to have a British accent versus like super pretty boy Jake Gyllenhaal doing a fake British accent poorly for 2.5 hours.
Doesn't he say like one line where he's like, "Don't press your luck"? And I just in the trailer, and I was like, dude, why'd you put that in the trailer, number one? Or something like that. I remember him riding a horse and looking back at the girl sitting behind him, and he says that line. I just rolled.
No, you're right.
eyes.
Yeah, he says, "Don't press your luck."
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I can't believe you remember that specific line, but yes, that is the line.
That was back when I was watching movies a lot, and that trailer was in front of every movie I saw. So I saw it a lot.
Well, remember, Disney wanted it to be their next Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, how'd that work out? Or what was the one? What was the one that was on Mars?
John Carter of Mars?
John Carter. Yeah,
yeah.
That wasn't a bad movie. And it just did not do well. And I don't understand why. I thought that was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Poor Taylor Kitsch.
That's his whole career, right? Is picking poorly.
Yeah. Did he do Battleship?
Did he? He was in Battleship?
Wasn't he in Battleship?
I believe you. I don't really remember. I remember Liam Neeson was in the trailers. That's all I remember.
Yeah. And that wasn't a bad movie either. It's just as weird that it was Battleship.
I don't know. Premise alone is strange on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, remember when we first heard rumors of there being a Tetris movie? And we're like, how do you make a Tetris movie? Oh, you're going to tell the story of it,
which is smart. I really did think it was going to be like Pixels, where like giant blocks were coming from the sky or something.
I thought, yeah. And they're just going to disappear.
Commander, turns out if we arrange them in the lines, we could defeat them. They erase from existence.
I kind of want to see that now.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I can see it in the mind's eye.
Did you have any others?
Oh, yeah, sure. Control. would be a great one.
Yeah.
You could just do a different little mystery of the week, obviously.
I think someone in our
vibes.
let's go ahead. Somebody actually made that comment. I want to read that one because they actually had a good point. I believe it was on Discord.
Oh, so Samuel Smith here. Control. It could be like X-Files, kind of.
Yeah, X-Files.
Yeah.
Like the monster
definitely.
of the week type of thing.
That is absolutely what I thought. And much like X-Files, it probably works best if they focus on the monster of the week instead of trying to explain
Right.
the oldest house or whatever. But yeah, it could be, you could just have Jesse Faden or whoever just investigating strange objects of powers every week.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. They don't really make TV like that anymore, unfortunately. Monsters of the Week kind of stuff. But you could try. You could be the people that bring it back.
Yeah, you think about that. Like, I feel like most shows now are a continuous story throughout the season, unless you're a sitcom, right? The sitcoms are the only thing that do that now, right?
I think so.
I kind of miss that, where like you can just pick up any episode and still enjoy it.
I miss when we just hung out with characters.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, like Mulder and Scully. You really get to know them and their dynamic. But if it was always every episode is dire, and it's, we got to solve this alien invasion over 8 episodes, it'd be harder to just kind of live in those small moments with those characters.
Yeah.
Like you can't do a whole 42 minutes on a haunted house anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, you could do entire seasons on American Horror Story.
So it's got to be 10 hours long. Yeah. But sorry, Control would work. One I really think would work because, bless it, this franchise has had so many adaptations, but clearly just hasn't had anybody that cares about it yet. Resident Evil, man.
Yeah. How has that not been capitalized?
Like they did a TV show, but it wasn't about any of the Resident Evils. It was, it was a strange kind of weird take on it, which, I mean, fine, do your thing, but the core tenets of Resident Evil are there and are worthwhile to adapt, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to just even go tell it the same way, because there's so many people that have never played the games, right? So just start with the mansion and do the mansion right. You know what I mean? Like, don't do this underground, red hologram girl that's like in charge of everything.
Say, we got to have the secret lab, obviously, but build up to it a little bit, or don't make it quite as the hologram AI girl nonsense going on there, and just put Claire or Chris and Jill in there.
Yeah, and then like you could lead, and then you roll into Resident Evil 2, and you got a completely different character.
Yeah. It would be kind of an exciting anthology series because, you get the next outbreak. You're like, oh, man, Jill's back?
Right.
Yeah, seen her since season 1.
That would just be awesome. I don't understand why. Do they think that people want... Because they made like 6 of them.
Right. Obviously, people did like them, but I don't know how many of those people are Resident Evil fans, but people showed up to those movies.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, got any others?
I'm sure I do. What do you have some, Scott?
I have at least one. I don't know if you're gonna laugh at this or not. Turok.
Oh yeah, some dinosaurs.
That'd make a great series, dude. Like, cause there's a whole bunch of lore from the source material that I don't know.
Right, from the comics. Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a comic until well into that. But like, just even the tone of those games, like where it's like. You're in the past fighting dinosaurs, but you've got modern weapons. Like, when's the last time that was done in a TV show?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you're right. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. How about Earth's Defense Force?
Okay. So far, you're going for 2 campy, fun ideas.
Yeah, I mean, that's man. I missed that first Earth's Defense Force so much. I wish that game didn't look as dated as it does, because I had so much fun with that game.
Well, it looked dated when it came out.
Right. I think that was kind of intentional just because of how much stuff was going to be on the screen at one time.
Well, and because they were selling it for $20, remember that first one?
Yeah. I mean, some of mine are obvious. Like, I want to see Metroid on the screen. Like, that just seems
maybe
like
we can see Samus hunt a bounty.
Right. Give us some backstory on that, and then work your way into the planet Zebus and stuff like that. Like, can we do that? That just sounds amazing to me. So those are the big ones I had. Maybe Crisis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The nano,
What about-
like the nanosuit thing, like that kind of sells itself, doesn't it?
I think Assassin's Creed would work well.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you could have an entire series or entire season on a different era.
I would say each season's a different era, right? And you can build the Assassin Templar story in the background. And
man,
I think that would be. I mean, it's already a cool premise in the video games, obviously. But
plus we get to see more Altair. Like,
yeah,
come on.
And what a fun! I guess it would be a little like American Horror Story, where it's a wholly different story every season. But
no, but
the difference with Assassin's Creed is that it has those tethers between them.
Right, you could still have like the overarching story still be there, like it was in the games. Like again, you and I are in the minority of people that like the Desmond stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like if they just kept continuing that through each season, and there's a reason that we're going to a different era to try to, I don't know. I just think the whole like go look for these memories and relive these memories and get this data that we need and gene sequencing and remember how cool that was when that first came out?
It's still cool, Scott. It's such a cool idea.
I know, but now it's just about like these massive open world things with way too much, hundreds of hours of stuff I'm never going to touch.
No, I'm saying, but the core premise is brilliant. Even the idea of these Assassin Templars fighting throughout time and the war never ending or whatever. It's just so cool. It's so fun.
And I want it to be that cold open like the original Assassin's Creed had too. Like, everyone thinks they're getting this thing, and then wait, why are we in modern times? And why is this dude locked in this room? Like that whole first episode should just be in that room.
Oh, I was thinking the whole first episode is just Altair, and at the end it glitches out or whatever, and now you end up the room there.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like that too. Yeah, either way, we'll do two different versions of it, and we'll let everybody vote.
Okay, I'll let HBO know.
All right.
Yeah, but I just think that's too good a premise. I'm surprised. I'm almost surprised it hasn't happened.
Yeah,
and instead they decided to do a Michael Fassbender movie,
which I was okay with him. Like I like Michael Fassbender. I was like, this is going to be the one. And then as soon as I saw that giant crane thing holding him by his back, I was like,
right.
Oh, you just ruined Leap of Faith for me, like for forever. The one thing that we didn't really tap into is because some of the stuff is like low hanging fruit in terms of like, of course, would I want a Zelda? Would I, want some of these Nintendo properties? Why aren't we making kid shows? That stuff. I mean, I know, the Mario movie was super popular, but you don't have to make that big of a budget to make some 20-minute shows for kids.
Well, I mean, they made Pokemon, very successful kids TV show,
but they're not anymore, are they? Are they still making that?
Yeah, right.
Are they really?
I mean, or didn't? I think Ash's story just ended like a year or two ago, right?
You're asking the wrong person.
Oh, okay.
I am not the right person to talk about Pokemon at all.
All right, but yeah, no, it ran for decades.
Can we get a resurgence of something like a Captain N, where like it like brings in all these likable characters? I'm not saying the actual show, but something like that, where somebody gets sucked into a video game world that is all characters from a company.
So it's a Fortnite TV show.
That would sell it.
Yeah,
that'd be the way to sell it. But then you're looking at licensing to get all of those, Spider-Man and
right.
What else is in that?
There's everything.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
everything. Anyway, let's see what the community had to say. You want to kick things off over on Facebook?
Sure thing. Ethan Lankford writes in, any of the main Elder Scrolls games, probably Skyrim due to popularity, or at least that world. But they make it where a player gets sucked in. The world still has its glitches, occasional silly dialogue, and they play as their custom character. To actually get out, they have to actually beat the game and not get distracted by the side quests. In terms of tone, something like an action, drama, comedy, with each episode or 2 episodes being dedicated to either side quest or main quest. To really spice it up, you could do multiple players, one that's super serious, a role player that they think is an NPC, the person who made a meme character, and the Glitch King who's just lazy and cheats.
You got just one guy following you around going, I once used to be an adventurer like you.
From that taking arrow to the knee.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I thought of Skyrim to put on my list, but the more I thought about it, I was like, it's just going to feel like every other fantasy TV series.
That was because I thought Dragon Age similarly, but then I was like, but that's just Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So maybe they should, because need a replacement. Maybe they could actually end it well this time.
I like the ending of Game of Thrones.
Seems impossible, but all right.
Scott Calgaro says, Ethan already covered Skyrim, which is my first choice. Second choice is Dead Space. There have been some animated versions, but a live action could be spectacular if done right. I couldn't agree more. I actually kept that one off my list because he chose that.
So yeah, you at least have 2 great seasons
Seriously.
to work with.
And then season 3 is the glowy bits.
Right. You're just fighting the moon, and all of a sudden there's a live love triangle.
Right. Oh, and then this will be like the 4th or 5th year in a row that we said we're going to play Dead Space 3 over Halloween season.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait to not do that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to doing that.
Halloween season is R2V2 season, so it's
It's a busy time.
it's a little bit busy.
Well, we don't have to theme it around Halloween. We could just play it.
We could, but then, we'd have to... Planning to play games with you is tough, man.
Yeah. Once you get done with Baldur's Gate 3, maybe.
Oh, Sunday mornings?
Slot it on your morning, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do it.
Chase Jansen writes in, Gears of War. Actually scratch that, BioShock.
BioShock is happening, isn't it? Netflix?
Isn't it a movie?
Is it a movie? I thought it was Oh,
Maybe it is a series. I don't remember now.
I don't remember. Something's coming.
Either way, yeah, but that was announced years ago. Who's to say if it really is, right?
Yeah.
Or am I misremembering? I know Gore Verbinski was going to do a movie years ago.
Yeah, and thankfully he's off of that project.
Why, we don't like Gore Verbinski?
I don't remember one that I liked from him.
Pirates of the Caribbean?
The original?
Yeah, he did the first one.
Oh, no, I'm talking... I thought he used to do video game adaptations, too. Didn't he?
Are you thinking about Paul W.S. Anderson?
Maybe. Or Uwe Boll. I'm probably getting those names mixed up.
Oh, Gore Verbinski, he did the whole Pirates trilogy, but
man, that first one was so good.
Unbelievable. But BioShock limited series about the fall of Rapture sounds.
Oh, not even like the current story that we know, just like
yeah.
That's actually great, dude. Oh man, after reading that book, just adapt that book.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, just that book, because I love BioShock, but the story works best as a video game. I think it would be tough to adapt that the story we see in the game is kind of hard to make a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But the book and the fall of Rapture itself, I think, is you could do seasons about that.
Yeah, because BioShock is really a video game, right?
Right.
Like it's a really cool story and a really cool twist, but the spots in between the opening and the finale are very much go collect this, go deposit this here, go shoot these guys. And
the structure of how video games work is kind of part of the story.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of tough to adapt.
Why don't you go ahead and read the next one as well?
Oh, sure. Christina Vasquez Flores writes, Life is Strange. I love that series, and it would be easy to adapt on screen. And then my favorite video game girl crush can come to life. Oh, man, is that Max or Chloe?
Yeah, I think it's Chloe. Knowing Christy, I think it's Chloe. Yeah.
I agree.
That would be a fun series, though, with the rewind mechanic.
The time powers and stuff.
Yeah. I like that one.
You're right. That'd be kind of...
Michael Bonovich says Mass Effect. It wouldn't even have to be Commander Shepard's story. I just want more of that universe. Citadel versions of cops with CSEC. Maybe follow a story of someone working in the shadows for the Shadow Broker. Workplace comedy centered around the elusive man. Okay, maybe not the last one. Maybe? And someone else actually had a comment on that too. Paul Hine over on Discord. I'm just going to read his really quick as well. He said, as a total Mass Effect, he says Stan. Is that a thing? Is that a phrase I don't know?
Yeah, it's like a super mega fan.
Oh, okay.
Do you know the song Stan by Eminem?
Yes.
Stan was an obsessive fan of Eminem.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's Stanning. I believe. I, like you, am too old to know the origin of it, but that's my understanding of it.
All right. So as a total Mass Effect stan, Paul Hine says, I would love to see it brought to live action. The unique twist that would be super interesting, but not even possible, is that every other episode would have to be the male shepherd and then the female shepherd. The series of 10 episodes would have a general story, or even the wonderful Lovecraftian tale that is Mass Effect 1, but have it told with both genders, since they had such unique playthroughs. Change up the companions, love interests, etc. would be awesome. Would love to see some Fallout TV level of love given to this franchise.
That is why you just can't do Commander Shepard if you do a Mass Effect show.
Because everyone plays their own.
So many people view Shepard so differently.
Mm-hmm.
And the way their story goes is so different to so many people. if I were making a Mass Effect TV show, I'd be like, don't even talk to me about Shepard.
Mhm.
Maybe we can make one reference about, I heard Commander Shepard got the Normandy. Like, good for him. Good for them. Cover both. Maybe that's all you need to do. But you gotta leave that character alone.
I like it.
You gotta play it smart. But Sean Coates writes, I think Red Dead would be a great candidate for an adaptation, especially in this post-Deadwood, post-Justified era we're living in. The first season can be an origin story of both Arthur Morgan and John Marston told in parallel to each other before eventually joining Dutch. Then the second season and beyond could cover the events of the games. Who would you cast as Arthur, John, Dutch, etc.?
I got to tell you something funny, Zach. When he posted this on Facebook, I know you're not on Facebook. I actually commented on his comment, and I said, "Tell me you're a fan of Zach Parkerson without telling me you're a fan of Zach Parkerson."
Well, I mean, look, Sean sounds great. My only problem is a TV show is only ever going to make the Red Dead story worse. So do we really want that?
I mean, do we want that of any game?
Well, I don't know. There are other ones where I feel like it works. I don't know. I just like to me, the Red Dead is the best Western, no doubt. But to me, I'm like, wouldn't you just want to make your own Western show?
I was just going to say, like, if you did the Mass Effect thing that you were just talking about, of like not having it be Commander Shepard, and you just do a whole new character with different storylines, you're just making a Western.
You're just making, or you're just making a sci-fi show. You mean?
Well, no,
With
but I'm
Mass
saying
Effect?
if you did that with Red Dead, you didn't do Arthur, John, Dutch, and all those. You just you had a new character. I guess you wouldn't have to with that one because Mass Effect is, everybody's is different, but you're still playing the same character in Red Dead, right?
Well, it's a whole universe of Mass Effect you can play with.
Right.
All right. Although my first thought was like, shouldn't you just watch Star Trek?
Sure. Yeah.
But I would just be worried about them messing Red Dead up. I don't mind when you talk about the origin, but also I don't. Rockstar's not going to play around with this.
Yeah. He wants to know I can't answer this question because I haven't played the games enough. But who would you cast as Arthur, Dutch, John?
It would have to be nobodies or fresh faces.
Yeah.
It would be hard. It would be hard to accept a known actor in these roles.
I mean,
I'm not trying.
Because the original voice actors don't look anything like him, right?
No, they do not. To me, they're so ingrained in my brain. I'm not like if they did do a Red Dead show, I'm open to them recasting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I can't think of who in Hollywood would be the people.
Mm-hmm.
Over
on Discord, Thomas Bex says, it will never happen because it's not a big name IP, but Heaven's Vault would be a fantastic property to adapt for big or small screen. Thomas reviewed Heaven's Vault for us back in the day, and I wouldn't discount it, Thomas. We just got an announcement that there's going to be a movie based on the game Dredge.
Or El Paso Elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting a movie, yeah.
Like, anything can happen at this point. Dredge was like, would never have been near the top of any list of games for me. Like, I would have expected like a Dave the Diver before Dredge. But again, I haven't played through Dredge yet, so.
Yeah, I haven't played. I mean, the idea of like you're going fishing and you happen to run into Cthulhu or whatever sounds cool.
Yeah,
I would watch that movie. But yeah, it definitely was not. It was a surprise to see that announced.
Next up.
Mark Zemansky writes, I had my reasons to not like the game, but one reason I loved Control was the story. Yeah, David Lynch should direct it, and I'd be there on release day. The board or whatever company produces it would foam at the mouth for 1, the hardcore fans are built-in audience, 2, the cinematic universe potential with the Remedy games, and 3, the abstract plot, which will attract big talent. Yeah, so I guess Control is a popular answer here, huh?
As is Alan Wake. Brandon Lloyd said Alan Wake, along with Gears of War, which we mentioned, but it's because Alan Wake is kind of basically a TV show anyway. To some degree.
Right, you're right. It's structured like one. Yeah.
It
even has credit songs and stuff.
Yeah. Bill Gardner even piped in and said, Bright Falls, does that count? And he also said, and the extended media for Breakdown. And any extended media for Breakdown. Again, you got another fan.
With the Xbox game?
I assume. Isn't that the one that you talk about that you like so much?
Of course, yeah. Oh, man, a Breakdown TV show would be incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, you could breathe with the story and the characters. Oh, man.
Yeah. Tim Pollan says, get Alicia Vikander back and do a Tomb Raider TV series.
That'd be cool.
I'm 100% okay with that.
Just pick up where the movie left off. Let her have her dual pistol. She hasn't had her dual pistols in 20 years or 10 years now.
Yeah.
Let's let this lady be.
I need to
dual
rewatch
pistols again.
I need to rewatch that movie. I haven't watched it since the theater.
Yeah, same actually. But it had Walton Goggins in it.
I didn't remember that. Now I got even
He's
more
a bad
reason.
guy.
I don't do this, but that's how long it's been. How that movie came out? What, 12 years ago?
I really don't know. Yeah, good question.
It had to be 12 years ago.
It's weird. It made enough money for a sequel, and they were going to shoot one, but then, yeah, whatever. It all fell apart. I guess
It must not have been successful.
but it was. I think Alicia Vikander had to step out for some reason, and they were just like, "Let's just give up on this." Then
Oh, is that what it was?
I think so.
2008. Wow, that was only 6 years ago. That seems like so much longer.
It's just a pandemic, bro. It messes with the time.
Seriously, there's like a vortex that we went through at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a solid movie, but I had just played the game so many times. I was like, yeah, it was a fun movie. I'll just play the game again, though.
Yeah.
Was it Alan Sheck here? Can we just redo Halo? Bring out a writing team that cares about the property, keep the visual effects team, but fix Cortana. Dude, Cortana is freaky looking in that show. Put the helmet back on and bring in Steve Downs. I understand the need for or the request for Steve Downs, but I could see how you'd want to see your actor every now and again or whatever for the show. But why is he taking his helmet off for every fight?
Yeah, like
why is every image I see of Master Chief in this show have his helmet off?
That's a really good question.
It boggles the mind.
I still think you'd need to do exactly what he said and keep the helmet on.
I would prefer to keep the helmet on. I'm just trying to look at reality.
But then you can also, have Steve Downs do the actual voice, because the one episode I saw, it didn't sound right at all.
Yeah.
It just didn't. I'm sorry.
I guess you're right. Like Mandalorian, he keeps his helmet on most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people love that. So like you've proved you can do a helmeted lead. And people love Halo to death. So you could obviously we've proven you can fall in love with a character that is just a helmet.
It also worked for V for Vendetta. You literally never saw his face the entire movie.
That's a good point, yeah. So I don't think it would be a hard sell for most producers, but I think you do have enough evidence you could give them to be like, please, we need to keep the helmet on. You don't understand. People aren't going to love the show unless the helmet's on.
Right. I mean, just read Twitter comments. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Last of Us. It was exactly like the game. Like, exactly. I don't know. I don't know what other evidence you need. Anyway, Jacob Gunnarsson writes and says, "Oh man, so Monster Hunter, LOL. They made the movie. I love the attention to detail they had, but dislike the story. They tried to put a sci-fi twist on what could have been a Mulan story. I think it did damage, and now we don't get to see Ron Perlman fight dragons. I'd love to have a sitcom for Monster Hunter that's set up like Buffy. You have an elder quest giver, a new recruit, and a ragtag team, goofy extras, and the rest could be cats for all I care." I don't know enough about the Monster Hunter property to know what any of that means.
Nor do I, although I do know that they made the movie at Isekai where they got transported to the Monster Hunter world, and that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That hasn't been present in any of the games.
Right.
I also kind of continuously forget that they made a Monster Hunter movie.
I didn't even know they did.
It stars Mila Jovovich.
Oh, I do remember that now. Okay.
Yeah, she's like a military lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, just she's the queen of video game adaptations, I guess.
Apparently. Multipass.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's got to be her most famous role, right?
Yeah. I don't know how Xbox didn't lean into that. Game Pass.
Oh, boy. Because not all their audience is 48 years old.
That movie is still good, man. I love that movie.
No, the movie, the movie is great. I'm just saying, I don't think it's relevant with the youth.
Nah, maybe not. I like it,
Drew Ross writes in, a few I'd like to see. Series based on the Call of Duty lore campaigns that's action-packed. A Far Cry series would be a lot of fun, could take place in different parts of the world with great on-screen villains. Lastly, a mature animated series based on the Diablo universe. Surprised we haven't had a Grand Theft Auto movie or series by now with how popular the games have been.
I mean, that's
Rockstar just doesn't license, man.
It's true. Plus, I feel like Grand Theft Auto would just be typical crime heist.
Yeah, they should adapt Grand Theft Auto Vice City and just call it Scarface 2.
There you go.
No, well, that's like when I heard Call of Duty, I was like, well, isn't that just like a military?
Isn't it a war movie?
story?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I love Captain Price, and I do like Task Force 141 of those characters, but I don't know. It's just going to feel like any other military show.
Now, I know there's lore in Diablo. Is there enough lore? I mean, I never played Diablo for the story. I just really like the gameplay.
Well, they make like whole, hardcover bound lore journal things. So
I'm not doubting it. I'm just saying I don't know.
No, I don't know either. I was saying people must care because you see those things. Or they're like, I remember I saw like a journal, like a whole handwritten journal that was just like one character's perspective on the events of Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody out there cares about the Diablo story, even if you and I do not. So yeah, but animated is the way to go for that for sure.
Oh yeah, totally. That is all the comments. Thank you, everybody. That was a lot of fun, and it felt appropriate considering the popularity of the Fallout show. So next week, don't know what we're going to do yet for next week because it is a huge milestone for the Gaming Outsider. If you guys would believe it, we will be recording our 500th episode of the Gaming Outsider next week.
Sickening to hear.
It is kind of insane to say that. So we want to do something special. If you're hearing this and you have some ideas, do you want us to open up the phone lines or have you guys do recorded messages to let you know what you like about the Gaming Outsider, or should we just do a normal old episode?
Do a live stream Q&A.
Oh, that'd be fun. Maybe we just let some people in on do a live stream. Do it that way. That'd be just open it up to anybody that wants to come record with us at 4:00 Central on a Sunday.
Sure.
Could
or
try
2
that.
2 p.m. on Pacific.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That'd be fun.
Some West Coasters out there, I'm sure.
So stay tuned. We are going to we'll have something up on the socials to get you guys incorporated in that. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. The episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. And for those of you listening, that email address is now fixed. I did not realize that I have not been getting email to that for a while now. It was full. I did not have that email set to unlimited access or whatever. So,
oh man. So you've not been getting a lot of feedback. You definitely haven't been responding to any feedback.
Correct. Someone contacted me elsewhere and said, "Hey, I've been trying to email you about feedback," and they were actually asking about R2V2, and they weren't getting a response. So thank you for letting me know. But it is available now. Zach, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
I do, and this is going to be a spoiler for the new G.I. Joe comic. So if you're worried about that, goodbye. Nice knowing you. But I got to talk about this.
Okay.
And Scott, I don't think you're going to care.
Is this the one where it's like Transformers and G.I. Joes?
Yeah, so Transformers and G.I. Joe are in the same universe. But so they've been doing a Duke series, who is a G.I. Joe. I don't know the lore. And he's been kind of investigating who turns out to be kind of what will turn out to be Cobra later on.
Mm-hmm.
Because his friend was killed by Starscream, the Transformer.
Mm-hmm.
So he thinks these robots are like a government project, and he's being lied to. So he's trying to investigate it, and he kind of gets to the bottom of things. Enough so to where everyone's calling him crazy because jets don't transform into robots, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's doing some investigations, and finally, basically, one military guy is like, "I think we could set you up with a covert operation because I do believe you." And Duke's like, "Hell no, not working for the government, not doing that after you guys what you did to me." And he's like, "But son, there are more than just the one." He shows him a picture of Optimus Prime, and then he just says like, "When can we get hunting?" So the point is, G.I. Joe in this universe is getting established to murder Transformers.
That sounds kind of right. Can we make that a TV series?
That sounds awesome, dude. What a fun twist on G.I. Joe, and what a fun way to integrate those universes together.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds cool. And I love the idea like, sure, there are good robots and bad robots, but for G.I. Joe, the only good one's a dead one. And I'm sure they'll figure out there are good guys or whatever, but like, dude, that's a freaking premise for a universe.
Please tell me that's like the last panel of that issue, by the way, of him just saying, "When do we get hunting?" or whatever. Is that like how they end that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And then it's going to lead into whatever the next, chapter story is or whatever, the next comic. It's freaking awesome, dude.
That's
and it's It's just like, what a fun twist. Like, you see Optimus Prime, you're like, yeah, the best of the best. But Duke just sees murder in his eyes. You're like, dude, that's cool. Good. And you're emotionally invested because, you watch his friend get murdered by Starscream.
Right.
It's like, you understand where he's coming from. Yeah, dude. I hate to, sometimes spoilers can help sell people on stuff. I think that is such a cool twist on G.I. Joe that I'm like, that would get me to read the comics if I wasn't already reading them.
I mean, that needs to just be an animated series. I don't think that would work as a like full action, like a live action movie or whatever.
Yeah. I know they announced one, a G.I. Joe Transformers movie.
Did they?
Yeah, at the recent Paramount conference or something, but I couldn't care less about that. They haven't made a good Transformers movie since 2007, and they've never made a good G.I. Joe movie.
Which one was the good? I like the first one.
Yeah, that's the first Michael Bay one.
Oh, okay, yeah. It got kind of weird after that. Like there was robots
like
with
immediately,
with
it's
testicles.
like immediately weird, right? Like
Yeah.
Just the first one was so much fun. They just like, what if we just, shot this down the gutter instead, and making 19 more of these.
Does Michael Bay do anything anymore? Like I kind of miss when there were just like these schlocky action movies like that.
He did that whole ambulance movie that was just like about like an ambulance running away from the cops in downtown LA.
Oh,
had Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, my wife
Speaking
loved that movie.
That was Michael Bay.
I didn't realize that was Michael Bay. It was just called Ambulance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she loved that. I remember I wasn't watching it, but I was in the room. I could hear it, and she was really digging that.
I thought it looked really good.
Cool. I have a recommendation that's going to mean nothing to you, Zach, because you're not big into music. But
I was say music.
Do you remember Sum 41, the band Sum 41?
Sure. Yeah.
They have a new album. It's apparently, and they're touring. So
their bones still work, huh?
Yeah, it's they have a new album. It's like a double album, which is weird to say because nobody actually buys the CDs anymore. So it's not really like,
what it was is a double album exactly what it sounds like normally though.
Yeah, it's two discs, and it's called Heaven and Hell, but it's like instead of and they use X with a colon on either side of it. So I don't know if it's Heaven cross Hell.
So it's a gamer tag.
Yeah, it feels like a gamer tag, but it's the first one is like their traditional punk rock sound, and the second half of the album is like leans a little bit into metal, which I don't know if you ever listened to any Sum 41 outside of the hits, but they had a track on their first album, All Killer No Filler, that was called Pain for Pleasure. That was like really heavy, and it was like a minute 15-second song, but it was like a metal song, and this kind of like harkens back to that one track on the back half of that album. So
that's actually a pretty good album name, All Killer No Filler.
I thought it was great too. Yeah. So I will never forget. I actually got that CD. You're gonna make fun of me so bad, but from the Columbia Record Company or whatever.
Where they mail it to you?
Yep. I was a sucker for that. I got like those first 12 CDs for $0.01 each or something. And I will never remember the lady on the line was this like 60-year-old woman saying, "I've got one copy of All Killer No Filler." I was like, this is amazing. This is worth the 12 cents.
Yeah.
Which wound up being like, $400 or whatever.
I say, I never really understood how that business model worked.
Yeah, you get the first ones for free, and then you're forced into a subscription, and you have to pay it for whatever.
Oh, it's like a contractual obligation kind of thing.
Yeah. Like a magazine subscription, but
or it's like a gym membership.
Yeah. But those you can usually get out of. Those are usually month by month now, but or at least I don't know what they were like in the 80s and 90s, but
yeah.
All right, Zach, this has been fun. I have not done an episode with just you in quite a while. We managed to do it without CB or Alyssa, but hope those guys do come back soon. CB's working, right. Alyssa's a little bit under the weather, so man.
Yeah, it was a struggle just talking to you for 2 hours, but I survived.
Yeah, right. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I had a really good time. Every time we do this, it just I just pictured that Yeti microphone in between us, me sitting on my bed, you sitting on your bed in that hotel room in Los Angeles recording, because that was some good times.
I was thinking about the car crash where it was I heard it, so then I went.
I was in my kitchen cleaning a dish. I heard a noise and I came out.
I came outside, dude. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson, and we are the Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.